Good evening, everyone. We're going to be starting the Inlands, Wetlands, and Watercourse Commission meeting for April 6th of 2021. I'm going to ask our clerk, Colleen, to do the roll call for us.
Richard Gerard.
Here.
John Loria. Richard Deacon.
Here.
Mark McKeel.
Here.
Laura Curley.
Here.
Carmine DeFeo.
Here.
Tony Silver.
Here.
David Verespi.
Present.
Town staff Tatiana Solovey.
Here.
Jim Bova.
Here.
William Marr.
Here.
And town attorney Jim Cordone.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Attorney Cordone so he can do the legal aspects of a video conference meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, this is our regularly scheduled April meeting for the Trumbull Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission. The meeting is being conducted according to the governor's orders over the internet and telephone. Participants can raise their hand electronically during the public hearing portion of the meeting, and instructions will be provided at that time. Please note that all of the applications and supporting details were posted online on the Trumbull Town website, along with the agenda 24 hours in advance of tonight's meeting. We would remind everyone to please state their name before speaking for the benefit of those who might be listening only by telephone. And I would also remind everyone that tonight's meeting is being recorded. And thank you for letting me put the legalese on it tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Like to notify the public for anybody that's joined us for the Hampton Road application. It has been renoticed to the May meeting, so we will not be hearing anything on the Hampton Road application. So with that, I'd like to move to new business, application 21-11, Jason Callaway. It's a permit approval for a pool, patio, septic system, expand deck, reconfigure a driveway, grading, and associated appurtenances within a regulated area at 91 Bunker Hill Drive.
To the chair.
Yes. Go ahead, David.
I need to recuse myself on this application, so I will be leaving in the meeting and rejoining. If someone could just text me when you're finished, I will come back in.
All right, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here that's going to be doing the presentation for application 2111? Tatiana, do you know if there's anyone?
Yeah, I see a couple of people. Bill, can I let them in?
Jason Callaway is in the audience.
I'm not seeing that.
They're on their way in.
All right.
Hi, everyone. This is Jason Callaway. I believe that Keith Buddha from Pereira Engineering will be doing the presentation this evening.
All right, and Mr. Callaway, could you just give your address, please?
Hi, yes, it's 91 Bunker Hill Drive in Trumbull.
All right, thank you. And Keith has his microphone off right now.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Okay. I'm assuming no video. You don't have video.
Well, I'm using my video is through my cell phone.
Okay, now we see. All right, if you can state your name and address and your business for the record.
Absolutely. It's Keith Buddha. I'm a licensed professional engineer with Pereira Engineering located in Shelton, Connecticut, and we are representing this application this evening. So with that, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. This evening, I'd like to present this application. We've prepared the site plans for this application. Are those able to be brought up on the monitor?
Keith, do you want me to share my screen? You don't have an ability to show it on your plan, on your side? No, never mind.
Okay, there we go. All right, so the site is situated at the northern end of Bunker Hill Drive and is the last residential property on the west side of the road at the cul-de-sac. The property is 1 acre in size and is presently developed with an existing residence, paved driveway, deck, paved walks, and a maintained lawn. Almost half of the western portion of the property consists of a woodland, wetland, and intermittent watercourse system. The intermittent watercourse runs northeast to southwest across the property. The area of the wetlands on the property is approximately 0.4 acres. The topography of the site slopes from Bunker Hill Drive down across the property toward the wetlands to the west. The residence is served by public water and a subsurface sewage disposal system, which is situated in the backyard lawn area. The proposed site improvements include the construction of an in-ground pool, patio, a deck expansion, a new septic system, a driveway reconfiguration, site grading, stormwater management system, and associated appurtenances, including the pool equipment and an underground propane tank. In addition, new plantings and a vegetated buffer will be installed along the edge of the entire wetland boundary and around the new pool and patio. A new fence will also be installed along the entire wetland boundary and will serve as a demarcation line between the wetlands and the upland improvements proposed on the plans. To address runoff from the increase in impervious surfaces, a new stormwater management system consisting of underground infiltration chambers will be installed adjacent to the new pool and has been designed in accordance with the town engineering department requirements and the Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual. A drainage report has also been included with this application to demonstrate compliance. The new septic system, which would be located in the front yard, has been reviewed and approved by the town health department at this time. Detailed soil erosion and sediment control plan has been prepared and includes erosion control notes, details, a sequence of construction. It's all been prepared in accordance with the Connecticut guidelines for soil erosion and sediment control. The last sheet of the site plan set consists of the construction details related to the proposed improvements shown on the plan. For the proposed landscaping, show the rendering. We have a colored rendering here. The landscape plans depict the new landscaping to be installed around the new pool area, which also includes a vegetated buffer, new fence to act as a demarcation line, and a wetlands restoration seed mix within the wetland area. Plant list, planting notes, and a cross-section through the pool and patio are also included. That's shown on the landscape details. As noted earlier, almost half of the property is a wetland and thus creates a hardship as this area is unusable to the homeowner. With this plan, they're just trying to make the best of what is available to them by utilizing the existing lawn area in the rear of the property. Be glad to answer any questions at this time. I believe the homeowner would answer any questions you may have as well.
All right, before we go to the commission, Tatiana, did you have any comments?
Just wanted to ask if the proposed deck will have a roof.
Keith, I can answer that.
Sure.
The deck will not have a roof. However, we plan on weatherproofing underneath the deck in order to create a dry space. It will not be There will be no walls or windows, so it will still be exposed to the exterior, but this way we'll be able to put some lawn furniture and other things underneath the deck.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
assuming that was the applicant, Mr. Callaway, for the record.
Yes, thank you very much. This is
So I
Jason
couldn't
Callaway.
see on the screen. Thank you.
We also skimmed through the plan. We'll have to do a full review, but it appears that the plantings between the patio and the wetlands, I don't see a north arrow. Where's the north arrow? Oh. They are proposed to be installed right on top of the level spreader. So maybe if you could look at that to make sure they can be installed, or maybe shift them a little bit. And then also, could you add the level spreader to your stormwater maintenance plan?
Sure, we'll take a look at the, I'm sorry, this is Keith Buda with Pereira Engineering. We'll take a look at the location of the level spreader in relation to the proposed plants and also add that to the O&M.
Okay, and could you please take your erosion control plan, put the erosion control plan on the screen? Thank you. Is there any way to zoom in a little bit? Thank you. So where the stockpile is, I see there is a silt fence proposed, and then it kind of ties to the corner of the wall. And it's not very clear whether you're proposing a silt fence all the way to the end of the improvements or whether you're stopping it at the wall.
Yeah,
So
that would be, that's a CAD error on this plan. The silt fence will extend along the entire boundary of the wetlands. So from the northern side of the property, if you look, there's a stone wall that runs along the northern side of the property. Up in this.
Oh, okay, yep.
Okay, so the line just disappeared from the plan here, but there'll be a silt fence from that wall extending all the way down, running along the wetland boundary, and then coming back up along the southern side of the property.
Okay. And another just food for thought, maybe it seems that the stormwater system is quite large. The town always accepts equal impervious area that can be treated. In other words, if entire driveway runoff were to be directed there and stormwater can be placed closer to the driveway expansion where the test pit 2 is on your other plan. You know, we're open to that if you wish to consider that option. It just seems a little bit crowded in there. So that's kind of a recommendation, I guess, not any requirement. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Tatiana. Okay, it's open to the commission.
Through the chair.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Deacon.
Thank you. Concerning the pool drainage, are you planning on having the backwash go into a dry well?
My understanding is the type of filter equipment that would be used for this does not have a backwash system. So there will not be any backwash.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Anybody else from the commission?
Through the chair.
Okay, that's Carmen.
Yes,
Carmen, go ahead.
this is Carmine DeFeo. Are those recent wetland flags?
Yes, the flags were put by William Kenny Associates October of last year.
Okay, and there's a lot of information on there. Where is the 100-foot upland review area line from the wetlands? Is there a line on the drawing?
There is. It runs through the front yard of the property. So to the east of the residence.
It's that dotted line there? Okay.
Yes,
So essentially the whole house is in the upland review area.
the house, yes.
I
Where
got
is,
booted. Could you repeat that where the upland review area is? I just got back on and that was one of my questions too.
Can you see my cursor on the screen?
Barely, this is way too small for me to see anything, but,
Can you
Right, do you-
enlarge it a bit?
okay, I can see your cursor. Just show me where the inland wetland, where it is approximately.
I'll trace out the 100-foot setback with my cursor here.
Yeah, I can see that. Go ahead.
Okay, there it is.
It's right there on the end of the, that.
This dashed line.
Detention. Okay. I'll look for it now. Thank you.
where is,
I have it now.
yeah, where is the filtration equipment being located?
The filtration equipment be right here. The west side of the residence.
Okay, and one of our stipulations is that if the pool is ever emptied, the water needs to be discharged off-site. Does the homeowner, are you aware of that? And do you agree to that?
This is Jason Calloway. I'm aware of it now, and I do agree to that.
All right, are you good, Carmine? Anything else?
Right now, I'm still thinking.
I have one last question.
Okay, we have Laura before you.
Okay, I was out of it for a moment here.
No problem.
All right,
What are you thinking, Carmine? We'll turn it over to Laura.
thank you. Laura Pooley. I'm wondering if you considered moving the pool closer to the house and minimize the deck and patio area. This is a really intense proposal for the room that you have between the house and the wetlands, or you're building right on top of the edge of the wetlands, and you're taking up half of the area in the backyard between the wetlands. I just scaled off, it's about 75 feet in length, and the width of the yard there is about 150 feet. So it just seems like this is so intense, and you're using up a lot of lawn area that, granted, it flowed back to the wetlands and it was probably fertilized and whatnot, but at least allowed some infiltration and natural flow back before it got into the wetland. Now we have this hard structure. You've got the vertical retaining wall with footings right at the edge of the wetland. I'm just wondering, why is it so big and intense? If it's minimized, if you just had the pool maybe closer to the house with a smaller patio area, everything else could be minimized. One of the good things that I like is that you are relocating the septic system to the front. You're going to lose it by the pool, but it's far enough away from the wetland so that won't be impacting the wetland. But my feeling is it's quite intense for this site. So my question was, I'm sure you don't like what I'm saying.
No,
what
I
you're hearing,
understand
but
what you're saying.
It is extremely intense and very close to the, there's no buffer between the wetlands. I mean,
Yeah.
the regulated
So
area is 100 feet and it's in your front yard. And, this is what happens when we build houses in the regulated area. Years later, people want to come in and do additions to the backyard, and you already are limited to what you can do. And now you're right on top of the wetland. So we're not protecting the wetland this way.
thank you for your feedback. This is
You're
Jason
welcome.
Calloway. I'll respond quickly. I would say that there are two main considerations for the location of the pool. First off, we would really like to run the pool parallel to the house, but with the deck, I do not want the pool to be too close to the deck because we do have two teenage girls, and I expect that they will probably have teenage boys over for the pool, and I don't want anyone to get the idea of trying to jump from the deck into the pool. So that's the first consideration is safety. The other thing that we considered was the location, you know, horizontally to the house, and the way that the property is positioned. All of the traffic that comes down the cul-de-sac, and surprisingly, we do get a lot of traffic down this cul-de-sac, despite its location, is the car circles counterclockwise around the cul-de-sac, and the way that the property grades down, you can basically get a direct shot down back into the backyard. So we're also trying to kind of tuck it closer behind the house for privacy purposes. Those were the two main considerations for where the location of the pool is right now. But I do appreciate what you're saying as far as the proximity to the wetlands. I could speak with my architect and with Keith to see if there are other options. I mean, we would like to try to maximize the size of the pool naturally. You know, just trying to.
Right, you could, right.
Yeah.
No, the pool size, I think the pool size is fine, and it's just that you have a lot of patio area around there. It generates a lot of runoff, and you're making your deck larger too, so that's also pushing the pool further away from your concern. And, you know, I understand you know, my neighbors, they used to jump off of their roof because the pool was pretty close to their house into the pool. So kids do that. They're crazy, but they do that. But you are enlarging the deck and then pushing the pool further away. So, you know, I just think it's pretty intense what you're proposing. There's a lot of hard surface being constructed, and along with, you know, expanding the driveway, and maybe that could be minimized and reduce the impact on along the, I don't know the direction of the back side of it. So that would be the west side. You could have a sidewalk around it, you know, 3 foot wide, but you have quite a large area around the whole perimeter. So that's those are my feelings.
Thank you. Are you comfortable with me going back to my architect and the engineer to have a conversation about it and see if we may make some adjustments?
Yeah,
Sure.
that would be good, Mr. Callaway.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, before we go to John, are you finished, Carmine?
No, I have one other question regarding the fence. What type of fence were you putting up on the border to the wetlands?
We haven't selected a fence yet, but we were thinking about, so it wouldn't, how do I describe it? It would be a aluminum fence approximately 4 feet high. We're not looking at like tall paneling. We're looking at something that you can see through, and then, you know, through plantings and everything, kind of create a nice landscaped space. So probably black. Is that a good enough description?
Yep. Okay.
Mhm.
Are you good, Carmine?
Well, it's not really part of ours, but I know one of the requirements with the pool is to have a fence completely enclosing it. What is that going to be, that same style fence?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, the only place where we may consider a different style fence would be next to the driveway. Again, for that same reason of trying to create some privacy, but definitely from the corner of the shed all the way down the side property line, all the way around the back, and then down the other side property line would all be that style of a fence, which I think really allows us to kind of enjoy the nature and the privacy that we have in the summertime when all of the leaves and the foliage and everything comes in. We're not really trying to shelter ourselves from the forest in that sense.
All right, are you good, Carmine?
How is the wetland area substantially bigger off your property in the back there?
It feeds down, I would say, to the south. It feeds down for 2 properties into a fairly well-maintained pond that then drains into a culvert that runs underneath Old Fire Road. And then to the north, I would say it's more of highlands, and everything that is on the street behind us, which is Topaz Lane, is higher grade than us. So there isn't really any standing water. When it rains, most of the rainwater comes down off of Topaz and then kind of tucks in channels like through our property, but it moves. It's not really, it's not marshy.
Yeah. I'm not really concerned about the water. I'm concerned about the wildlife. They have a tendency to be traveling through the wooded area, the wetlands and everything. And I'm just wondering, it doesn't sound like we're blocking their paths in any ways.
No, they
there's
run
ways
good.
to go around your property with that.
Yes. Yes, the traffic, deer, for example, turkey, they would all run north to south, south to north along the property line, and they pretty well stay in the woods in the back half of my property.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, we would not be obstructing their natural pattern, I would say.
All right, so you're good, Carmine. John, you had a comment?
Yes, I did. Sorry if I'm ask anything that's been asked before because I lost connection for a little bit. First of all, how close are you the line of disturbance to the wetland? When I look at the map, it looks like you're building lawn right up to the edge of the wetland. Is that true?
Hi, this is Keith Buda with Pereira.
Mm-hmm.
The wetland plantings will be right up to the boundary of the wetland.
And the wetland plantings will be right on the edge of the wetlands. Is that true?
Well, you'll have the fence. Let
No,
me
I'm
just
not.
pull up. Yep, go ahead.
So are we disturbing all the way to the edge of the wetlands with this plan? That's my question, really.
Currently there's existing maintained lawn up to the edge of the wetlands.
Okay.
So with this,
it's already there. So the closest point of the construction of the patio and pool to the wetlands is how many feet?
that is 1.9 feet, roughly,
Okay.
almost 2 feet.
Okay, I see that on the map. Now, when I look at what you call the water course in the back, can you describe what the water course looks like? Is there water running through it all the time?
It's an intermittent water course.
Okay. When I take a look at the upland review area and I look at the shape of the water course, it looks like you've traced the water course instead of the actual boundaries. I don't have a ruler here to measure it all out, but if I look at the shape of it, it's following the shape of the water course and not following the shape of the wetland boundaries. Do you agree that that may be in the wrong position?
No, I believe it's 100-foot offset of the wetland boundary.
Of the wetland boundary, okay. It looks to me like when one place is taking a zig, the other's taking a zag, but I'll check it out later on. Thank you.
Sure.
John, okay. Who else from the commission would like to ask question, comment?
Through the chair, it's Mark McKeel.
Yes, Mark.
Good evening. So the proposed pool, is that a saltwater or is that a chlorinated pool?
Hi, Jason Calloway again. Honestly, we have not decided at this point. We are debating the benefits, the pros and the cons. Would that be a deciding factor for the commission?
It would
Not
certainly
really.
be something I believe, commissioners help me, that saltwater is preferred over chlorinated.
I don't know, Mark. I don't have the experience in that here.
All right, so I'll leave that open.
Okay.
The second question I had is near the edge of the patio, there's a EX bridge going, it looks like across the intermittent watercourse. What exactly is that? Existing, there's a bridge there?
Yes, I can describe that.
Thank you.
when we moved in, there was an old playscape on the property, and we brought in a new playscape. But the kind of the main body of where the children would play, we took that and we positioned it kind of over this intermittent water course so that the kids could go to the neighbors behind us and play with the neighbors behind us, basically. So that's what it is. It's a wooden section of an old playscape.
Great.
And I think that when you guys, when you do the site walkthrough, you can take a look at that and you can make your recommendations for what we should do with that. If you're okay with it, great. The kids enjoy it, but if that's a problem, we can certainly have it removed.
No, thank you. I just wondered if it was something that maybe a Boy Scout project or something that was in there.
Kind of. My parents helped me out.
Okay. A DIY project, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Okay, and I can't see on the screen. Who's that's asking?
Rich Deacon.
Oh, go ahead, Richard.
Quick question. I'm looking at the original map and I see where the septic tank was and the gas storage below the deck. Do we have, and again, this new map is somewhat small. If you could just point out where the new septic and the new gas storage was, because I like John had trouble seeing it on the screen here.
Sure. So Keith Buda. The existing septic tank is located in the rear of the property back here.
Mm-hmm.
The new septic leaching fields will be installed in the front yard over here.
Okay.
So a pump chamber will be installed next to the septic tank with a force main pumping up to the leaching fields in the front yard. Currently, leaching trenches exist in the backyard in the lawn area.
Okay.
The propane tank, I believe you were asking about, is underground propane tank is in this area right here to be installed.
Okay. It mentioned on the other map there's a gas storage tank below the deck, so they will not be touching that tank in any way.
So that would be removed and replaced by, because that's also propane. It's smaller. I believe it's either 75 or 100 gallons, and it's very faint on this drawing, but it's a very small circle next to the house in the middle.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Question, the propane is servicing what?
Currently, it is only servicing the range in our house,
All right.
the cooktop on the stove.
The reason I asked whether you're going to be doing a heated pool.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Oh.
For New England, yeah. So which explains the increase in size. And then we are also planning on running the barbecue off of it as well. Right now, we just use the small portable propane tanks for the barbecue.
Anyone else from the commission?
One last question.
Go ahead, John.
For the septic system, do you have a reserved plan as well?
A reserve isn't required in this instance. So
Fine.
because we're installing a new septic system.
That's news to me.
No, that's a public health code.
That's a new, okay, I know, but when I built the house, I needed reserve. Okay, thank you.
Through the chair,
Good, Laura.
if a generator is proposed, it should be shown also on the plan with the pump for the septic system. They may be considering a generator. So if we're gonna approve a site plan, they won't have to come back to show a generator pad or anything like that. It should be shown at this time.
All right, thank you. Good idea.
Keith, do we have that in the drawings right now? We definitely plan on putting in a whole home generator to support the pump in case of power outage.
Yeah, we will add that to the drawings.
All right, thank you.
All right. Is the commission all set?
Through the chair.
Through the chair, it's Mark McKeel again.
Go ahead, Mark.
Just along the lines of the propane, is the fire pit going to be a wood burning fire pit or a propane fire pit?
The proposed fire pit in the patio
Yes.
is wood.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Carmine.
Right next to the pool equipment, it does indicate an existing generator. Is there going to be another one or a newer one or?
Yeah, sorry, I'll comment on that too. Again, Jason Calloway. So right now, it's a portable generator that we store in the garage and we only take out to use, when the power goes out. We just have a very small concrete pad. I'd say it's about 2 by 4 feet. And that's where I have the hookup that I can plug into the wall, and then that runs to the main in the house. But that ideally, as long as building code and everything approves, ideally that would be the location for the whole home built-in generator that we would put in, or around that area, which is also near where the air conditioning is today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The commission set?
Yep.
Tatiana, any other comments?
I'm good.
All right. Are you good, Mr. Buddha?
Yes.
All right. So if there's nothing else, then we'll move on to the next application. I would trust, we will be walking this, obviously. If you could stake the 4 corners of the pool, and I would say also try to stake out the patio area, and then also the deck. And
Well-
John, any comments from you on that? You're usually the guy that catches man anything on the walk, so.
I think that if we get the patio areas, not including the circles or the extensions, those corners there, the inner pool, and the outer stakes for the outer corners of the deck, those are the corners that would be closest to the wetlands. I think that would be sufficient. Does
All right.
anyone disagree?
No, it's Mark McKeel. The wetlands are flagged.
I understand they're marked in October by Bill Kenny.
Yes,
That's
and the
correct.
flags are still in place.
Right.
All right, so that should work out well.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that's important. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if
Oh.
I could ask a question, when would the site walk occur?
Oh, generally, we'll figure it out, during our work session, but probably in a couple of weeks. As now that the weather is good, we don't have to worry about snow and all that. But you will be notified, and we'll make sure we give you enough time to get it staked and all that.
Great, thank you.
All right, very good, thank you. And let's see, so we will move on to the next application then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, application 21-14, Christian Heritage School. It's a permit approval for gravel.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we need to
Yep.
get Mr. Farespi back on the line.
Yep, okay, hang in one sec. I know Colleen's working on that as we speak, because she jumps right on this stuff. So,
I'm texting him now.
all right, so at any rate, on the Christian Heritage School, it's a permit approval for gravel path and picnic area within a regulated area at 615 White Plains Road. And I believe Attorney Cordone has a comment.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I need to recuse myself. I represent Christian Heritage School, so I could not sit on this matter. I trust you'll handle it fine. And if someone can kindly text me when I can get back on, I will do that.
All right, we will struggle without our legal eagle. Thank you. All right, I'm looking on the screen here. David's not back yet, so once David comes on board, we will move on to the other application here. Okay, I see David's on. Thank you.
I just took a nap.
No problem, no problem. Tatiana, is there anyone here that's doing a presentation for Christian Heritage?
There appears to be a call-in user 2 that raised their hand.
Okay.
There's also Phil Katz. I believe he's the one who did the plan.
Okay, I see Mr. Katz is on the screen here. And then I see a John there. Okay, who intends to speak for the Christian Heritage School?
Hi, this is John Nair. I am the Director of Operations at Christian Heritage School. I've been a part of the school and part of Trumbull for 40 years. And we acquired the property, the Jesse Connect property at 615 White Plains Road back in January of 2019. The property consists of 3 acres that run along the river between White Plains Road and the Parkway. That property consists of a home and a barn. And again, it was a former farm with the former owner. When Christian Heritage School purchased it, the back lot or the area behind the barn, between the barn and the parkway, was overgrown and filled with quite a bit of farm debris and trash. So the school cleaned up that area and in the process put in a gravel path down to the barn area. So I apologize to the commissioners in advance. I oversaw the project and we weren't disrupting the grade or making anything impervious in terms of water. So I mistakenly didn't realize that I needed to fill out a wetlands permit. I certainly knew that if we were trying to build anything down there, that was an issue, but with the path or the picnic area, that was my oversight. So I apologize and I appreciate the commission's work with me on this to, our goal here at school is we want to be a good neighbor in Trumbull. We've worked hard to enhance our property in a variety of ways, and we work hard to, again, be positive in this town. So we certainly want to do the same with this property. We have cleaned up the property. We use it as an outdoor learning area for our kids. We've gotten a great deal of value out of it already with COVID. We've had to bring many of our classes and quite a bit of our activities outside this year. So the timing of having the property could not have been more helpful. We've put together a plan. When I met with Tatiana, when I realized that I had misstepped and not pulled the proper permit to put the path in, Tatiana was gracious enough to come down to the site, walk it with me, let me know what we needed to do. I provided what I believe would be helpful. When she received that, she said, "That's great, but you really we need more professional drawings." And so I was fortunately able to get the help of Phil Katz, who's also on the line. Phil has had his students or his kids graduate here from CHS. He's been a good friend of the school for many years. So I'm happy to answer any questions pertaining to what we're doing down there. And I know Phil is online to help answer any questions of a specific nature that I might not be able to address. We have provided a buffering planting plan. We have a landscape engineer who's worked with us. He's actually a former student as well. So he's put together a number of buffering plants and plantings to, again, ensure that we don't have any problems with the bank or with the river. And again, our goal is simply, we want to enhance the property. It's been a great addition to our campus. So I'm here to receive the recommendations and have you tell us what we need to do to ensure that the property is maintained and preserved in the best way possible.
All right, thank you. Before we go to the commission, Tatiana, can I get your thoughts and review?
We would just ask for a detail of bench and picnic tables. They have to be anchored because they're installed in a floodway. And I also had a question whether you're planning on removing any trees on the other side of the river. And if so, perhaps that should be shown on the plan.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. Again, it's John Nair. We don't have any plans of taking trees down on the other side of the river at this point. When you come and walk the site, or if you get down there to see it, there's a number of dead trees that are down or leaning. And so we will clean those up to make it safe. But we don't have any intention to take any of the live or any of the healthy trees down. Only a tree that poses a risk. And on the bank that we put the path, again, Phil has shown it on the diagrams, but the trees that we took down in the area that we cleaned up were, again, either damaged, split, or diseased trees, or were leaning. Again, we've been fortunate to be able to use the area quite a bit for students, and we are excited for continuing to do that. Formerly, we would have to take the kids on a bus to Twin Brooks or other places, and it's been great to be able to do it right on site.
All right, well, comment would be that if you intend to do any other tree work, I would just add it to your application so that this way you wouldn't have to come back or it wouldn't be an issue.
Sure.
All right.
Just
And
through the chair.
before we go to the commission, Mr. Go ahead. Go ahead, Richard.
Thank you, Rich Deacon. Question: first of all, are there any invasive plants on site? And secondly, if there are, the commission would be able to add as a condition of approval a condition allowing perpetual maintenance to keep those invasive plants at bay. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to cut them once and get rid of them. They do require regular maintenance. So I'm asking if any are on site, and if so, if you wanted us to add that as a condition of approval, so you'd be able to do that type of work on your own without requirement for any additional permits. You'd be able to go in and maintain those invasives as needed.
That would be great. I'm glad that's a great point. And yes, on the one side of the river, there are many. And so we would like to be able to keep them under control in a healthy way.
All right, so you'll add that to your application then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good thought. Thank you, Mr. Deacon. Mr. Katz, before we go to the commission, did you have anything that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I can just kind of walk through the plan briefly. The time was short, as I was notified to provide assistance. So this isn't necessarily a surveyed plan. It was digitized from existing survey and from Trumbull GIS and some field measurements we took. So it's pretty close to what's out there. You can see the river. This is the Baquanic River here. This river had been relocated in the 70s.
Tatiana, can you put this on the screen? I'm sorry, Mr. Katz.
One second.
I'm showing it. Is there a way I can share? I'm used to doing Teams. I'm not sure exactly on Zoom how to share that. I have it on my screen. What's that?
Share your screen.
Let's see.
There should be a button.
At the bottom of your screen, there's a green button for share screen. If you press that, it'll present a window of screens to select from. You can then select your application and then hit the share button.
Let me see here. Let me maximize. Oh, there it is. How's that?
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, good. Now that you can see what I'm doing with my pointer, it would be more helpful. So this is the Baquanic River. It had been relocated in the 70s by the DOT when they widened White Plains Road and when they put in the ramp going to 25. You can see this line is the center line of the property. So you can see this is where the river was, and then they relocated it into here. So again, this was prepared from, digitizing GIS data and some property surveys. This is the approximate location of the regulated area, 100 feet back from the river. So this is the path that was installed. It was installed at grade. So there wasn't any change of grade within this area. This is approximately the floodway that comes through the property. And the planting, as John had mentioned, these are plants that are, typical riparian plants. An alumni of the school is a landscape architect and a landscape contractor. So he had made the recommendation. And what we're trying to do is kind of fill in this area between the river and the path to put in these plants to protect the river. This area here is the stone picnic area. And again, this stone is 3/4 inch crushed stone, which allows water to percolate into the ground. So there's no increase in impervious area. This is the garage. This had been a deck which had been added. And this area here is a garden that was installed. It's kind of interesting because it also, I think in the application talks about, they were able to rescue one of the cupolas from the Parlor Rock Park and put it on site. So it's kind of a unique feature of this. So right now it's all lawn, that's maintained. There's no, you're talking about invasive species. There's none on this side of the river at this point. There's certainly some on the other side. That's about all I had, unless you had some questions about it.
All right, well, we'll go to the commission. Thank you, Mr. Katz. Questions?
Through the chair.
Go ahead, David.
She can go first. I'm sorry.
I can't see everyone on the screen. Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. Laura Pooley. So question about the garden and the cupola that's on the slab. You're in the floodplain of a riverine and you're not allowed to fill in anything in there. There's got to be no net increase in or decrease or it's got to be no net increase. So if that garden area was flattened out, or I'm sorry, filled in to level it out, make a level pad and to level out for the cupola, because it does have some slope from, going from east to west.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if there's fill that was brought in for that. And number two, my concern is, like Tatiana had said, is that's going to have to be engineered, those connections for those picnic tables, because if they get loose and they clog up the culvert or whatever is under under White Plains Road, that could block that. I don't know if there's box culverts. I don't know if it's a bridge there, but
There's a
regardless,
bridge there.
it could still get tangled up. So that's going to have to be designed by an engineer to withstand the forces of the flowing water in the floodway.
Okay.
And I can answer the question. Are you able to hear me? This is John Nair again.
Yep. Mhm.
Go ahead, John.
The garden area, that was an existing garden that the former owner had in place. So that's the identical grade to as we purchased the property. The only change is they didn't have a cupola in the center. And so that cupola section is slightly altered, but that's an existing garden spot.
Right, but if fill was brought in to make the garden, that's my only point, is you're not allowed to bring in any fill in the floodway because you're reducing the storage volume. That's I mean, in the floodplain.
Yeah, it's in the floodplain, not the floodway, right?
You're I think, Phil,
Yep.
what's
Understood.
required, not required.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, David.
Through the chair, thank you. Phil, nice seeing you again. The the area directly in front of where the picnic tables are and the larger area of gravel in the center where it says Baquanic River, it appears that there is a beach that has developed there. There's severe degradation of the stream bank, and you can see that people have been going in and out. I'm sure the kids are down there playing. Are there any plans to restore this area, prevent this activity in the future? Are you trying to do a stream or trying to do a beach in this area? I think we need a little bit more information on what the intended purpose here is, because certainly we don't want exposed soils along the Baconic River bank there, because it would result in severe erosion, especially in this location. So more information is needed in that area, and certainly a better restoration plan if the intent is not to have a beach there. I have some hesitation on both the species of plants that have been selected for this location and the quantities. I think just the quantities are very low, and they're sort of token plantings just to say that you did some plantings. Most of these are smaller plants that will have very little impact or very little buffering through this area to improve the stream bed quality or the stream bank quality. I think we need to have some more shrubby materials as opposed to, perennials, and the mountain laurel certainly is not appropriate for a floodplain location such as this. The red twig dogwood is certainly a good choice. The perennials are nice, but a handful of shrubs is, I don't think is sufficient for buffering in this location.
Yeah,
Again, there's an opportunity here for maybe a more diverse palette of plants that could be used as a learning opportunity for the school.
Sure. Again, this is John Nair. And again, I started with asking the question in terms of, hey, we're looking to get recommendations on exactly what you're describing. We've taken this initial proposal or request and brought it before the landscape architect that we've worked with, and this is his initial recommendation. But by all means, we're
as a commission, we're really not supposed to give recommendations of what you're supposed to be planting. We're supposed to be taking your applications and approving what comes before us.
I see.
I hear you, and I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt, but
yeah.
we've got to maintain some distance here.
No, we understood, David. We'll bring this back to the landscape architect. To be fair to him, we said, can you give us some plants, and so we can put it on in the next couple of days, and this is what he came up with. So we can go back and take your comments and have him address that and come up with some additional plantings.
And certainly the area in front of the picnic tables, there are no plants there, and it looks deliberately that there are no plants there. So that concerns me, that the beach and water access is intended to continue, which very much concerns me from an erosion standpoint.
And again, this is John Nair. Just when we bought the property, there were on our side of it, when you come and see on the opposite side, there's heavy invasive species on our side, and particularly on that spot that you're identifying as a quasi beach spot. The former owners had nothing there at all. So we're happy to take a look at this, as you're pointing out, and add to the reconstruction to help improve this. That by all means, that makes sense. And in terms of use, the school has no purpose for a beach there. We will have students that, for lab experiments, and will walk into the water to get samples and things of that nature. But that
might be accomplished with some large slabs of rock that are placed strategically to create sort of a step down to that area as opposed to, you know, an exposed soil bank that, you know, is easily eroded. So
Absolutely.
I understand the educational aspect of it, and I think that's great, but it needs to be done appropriately to both protect the environment and be able to provide that opportunity.
And so this will be an opportunity for reconstruction here that will improve it from this vantage point far beyond how we receive the property.
Great, thank you.
All right. Anyone else from the commission?
Through the chair, it's Mark McKeel.
Good, Mark.
So, Mr. Nair, just to clarify what Commissioner, our Chairman Garrard said before, if you plan on doing any additional, even though they're dead trees laying there, they should be added into the application. Just
Right.
so it's a necessary evil, I guess. And then a little bit more on a personal point, north of that beach, so quasi beach area, I caught a 20-inch rainbow trout there last week. I just want you to know that I love that area. It's a beautiful area. So keep being good stewards of that area. Thank you.
We're trying. We are really trying. I'm telling you.
I had to throw that in there. It was the biggest trout I've caught in Connecticut. So.
Well, they stock it, right?
Yeah, I checked that website too.
Okay, Colleen, can we check on fishing permits for, all right, is there anybody else from the
To the
commission?
chair.
Yes, through the chair.
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Carmine.
Carmine.
Regarding the trees, the ones that you are planning to remove, can we get those marked with tape?
Yes. Yes. This is John Nair. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
To the chair.
Anyone else have any comments, questions?
To the chair.
Go ahead, Bill.
Just to bring to Mr. Nair's attention that there is the sanitary sewer main trunk line goes right underneath this picnic area,
Yes.
just so you're aware.
Yes. No,
Don't break it.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. But yes.
All right, question, Bill, while you're on, you're gonna have to show that the picnic tables are stabilized for the floodway. Would that also apply to the cupola that was put there? Because that has to be pinned too, right?
The cupola is in the 100-year floodplain, not in the floodway.
All right,
I mean, it would be a good idea that it, be securely anchored, but I'm more concerned about what's in the floodway.
all right, just trying to help them, not hurt them, as you well know. All right, anybody else from the commission? All right, Mr. Katz, you're good?
Richard, this is
Go ahead,
Carmine. I have one
Carmine.
question. As far as the pinning of those picnic tables, would they be going down far enough to where they can reach that pipe?
No,
Bill?
no, that pipe is probably 12 feet in the ground.
Okay.
They're actually, this is a sewer manhole and this is a sewer manhole here.
Right.
So the pipe kind of runs this way. So it's not really in the picnic, where we would have the benches and the picnic tables.
All right, Tatiana, you're good? The commissioners, no more questions? All right, so then we'll move on. I will ask for a motion to close new business.
So moved.
Okay, and that's by David. And who'd like to
McKeel,
second? Seconded by Mark. And if I can get the site plan taken off the screen so I can see all of the commissioners.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
That's
Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
We'll do this by, hand wave. All those in favor? Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you, thank you. We're going to go to old business, application 21-06.
Through the chair, perhaps
Yes,
you
and
should explain to Mr. Nair that we're going to review it and probably walk the site. But I don't want him to have to hang on unnecessarily.
no, I'm very sure Tatiana told him we were going to be doing this, so he knew.
Okay.
And while we're doing this, Tatiana or Colleen, somebody's getting a hold of our attorney to let him know he can come back on board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard, could I remind you something? Should we
Sure,
read
I
the
need all the
public
help
notice?
I can get.
We're opening the old business and we have, should we be reading the public notice or we want to wait for that application to start?
I mean, for North. No,
Yeah.
I think when we get to
We'll do
North.
that when we come to North?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Just don't want you
thank
to
you.
forget.
Anytime I miss anything, I never have a problem, believe me.
Sometimes we do that in the beginning of the meeting, so I thought you might have slipped your mind,
no,
but that's
no.
okay. Gotcha.
I often tell people, thank God I got married. Otherwise, I could have made it through my entire life without having been made aware of my many shortcomings. So when I come on board, I'm fine with people helping me.
You're 99% there, man. We're just helping you with that last 1%.
All right, I'm waiting to see Attorney Cordone. I don't see him on board yet.
He's on his way in.
Okay. Better not have cheated and gone to Dunkin' Donuts. There you go. All right, in the meantime, while we're waiting, Tatiana, is Sycamore being represented by Attorney Rizzio or Attorney Russo, do you know? Is there anybody to speak for it?
I believe when Attorney Russo was representing it, yep, he's raising his hand, so.
Through the chair, Mr. Chairman, are these 2106 and 2107 being heard jointly or separately?
No, I don't know. Let me ask Attorney Cordone, seeing it's basically the same owners, we can do it together, right?
Yes, you can hear the applications together if you have a vote, which you won't have tonight, of course, because it's the first time it's before you, correct? Or will you, could you have a vote tonight?
Yeah, this is the second time.
Second time, okay. You did, it will, in any event, whenever you have a vote, you need to have it separate votes, but
Right.
you can hear them together.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I see Attorney Russo's on board. Did you, there you go. It's all yours, Counselor.
Chairman, good evening. Good to be before the commission. Here for the properties known as Lot 319 and Lot 320 Sycamore Street. We were before you last month. We are just seeking reapproval for each of these lots with the same exact plan that we had originally approved back in 2015. It was one of my first applications as a lawyer. Again, a client has was looking to move forward with it last year. COVID obviously threw a wrench in those plans, and they didn't realize that the approval was going to lapse. They had started getting ready. I think you all did a site walk, and you may have seen some material that was there getting ready for the road, the extension of Sycamore Street down to these lots. And they later found out that the approval had expired. And so they're just, back, it's the same exact plan that I had submitted, back in 2015, and just looking for reapproval of those plans. There's no actual wetlands on either of these two properties. These are the first two lots on the right, but it is within the regulated area. Actually, one of the proposed dwellings, the closest to Pine Street, the dwelling's completely out of the regulated area. In the other, on the other lot, the one that's a little bit farther, portion of the dwelling is within the regulated area. But none of these lots actually have any wetlands on them. If you look, and I can share the screen. When we had originally gone for approval, I remember one of the things was asking that the commission had asked for was this planting that you could see right there that would just protect the corner of the farther lot that was closest to the wetlands, and we're sticking with that proposal, and that's really it. It's just asking for a reapproval of something that had has already been approved by this commission back in 2015.
All right, I'm going to ask Tatiana to give us her overview.
Yeah, so as we discussed before, should the commission vote on it, all the conditions of previous permit should apply to this one. Considering the stockpiles, the engineering department would ask that the testing of material be done before any material is brought or removed to the site, or before any building permit sign off, whichever comes first. And it's probably a good idea to put some sort of timeline on this. Perhaps 60 days might be reasonable to provide the test results. I believe there was a conversation of an old boat that still remains on the site. So just a reminder, the commission felt that it should be removed. Otherwise, I don't have anything.
All right, thank you, Tatiana. Bill, you have a history with this. Do you have any comments before we move to the commission?
No, Tatiana got them all.
All right, thank you. All right, comments from the commission or questions?
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Deacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So first of all, let's talk about Mount Sycamore. Mount Sycamore, or for those who don't get my very strange sense of humor, is the large pile of dirt and other materials that is dumped in the public right of way. It's just the same as dumping in the middle of Main Street. It's in a public road. We don't know who dumped it there. Unfortunately, someone dumped it there. That individual seems to have been lost to time. When I was a young 22-year-old, somebody let me on this commission back then, and this was one of the first cases we heard, very similar to this application. And I'd love to be corrected if I'm mistaken, but to the best of my knowledge, that mountain is the same pile of dirt that's been there for 12 years. The boat was inspiration for a condition I added for conditions of approval, saying that vessels shall not be stored inside any regulated, inside any limit of disturbance. All said vessel is still there. We're not entirely sure who owns the vessel, and if perhaps someone could identify the owner, if known, that would be very helpful as to ameliorating its removal. I understand that there is some questions whether or not the vessel was legally stored. I would point those people to chapter 440 of the Connecticut General Statutes, and I went down to 440, section 22A 40, subsection 1, subsection A, paragraph 3, where it mentions boat anchorage and mooring as a operation use that is permitted in wetlands and watercourses as of right. It's not a watercourse, and it's certainly not a navigable one. So the boat, love to know what's going on with the boat. The vessel's done. Let's get back to the mountain. If we don't know who put the dirt there, I'd like to know a few things. First of all, who's going to remove it, since it is on town property. It would be most excellent if the applicant would remove it. I have heard some mentions about the material being tested. If it's to be tested and not simply removed en masse and replaced with suitable fill, I'd like to know the extent of this testing. It's been there for a very long time. We can probably go around to all the commissioners and we can all say the things we've seen in it. I'll start with bricks and concrete and we can go from there. We all want this project to be successful and cleaned up. No one wants to throw a monkey wrench more than already has been by the pandemic. But that large pile of fill, I am very concerned with its contents and have been for over a decade. I would like to know what the plan is to either test or remove those contents, and if they are going to be used as fill in the construction of these two dwellings. I would like to know whether or not professionals have deemed that suitable fill due to the fact that it contains, among other things, large amounts of debris. Furthermore, the application does have a list of conditions. These were from a letter dated July 1st, 2015 from Mr. Smirilio and Mr. Moore. I believe Mr. Russo is aware of those. They are pretty comprehensive. There are a couple other conditions now that we add to standard conditions of approval that I'm sure won't be any of any particular onus on the applicant. I would like to point out, however, from the minutes of the application 1514, it was mentioned for the removal, and I quote Mr. Rizzio, he is aware that the site has been filled previously with rubble. They can have the stone hauled away, unquote. So at some point, the applicant, and I know the applicant has changed over time, but it's certainly effectively the same. They were willing to remove the stone. Now the rubble, the stone, the dirt, this is somewhat morphed over time. And answers to my questions would be welcome. Thank you very much. I'm done.
All right. Thank you. Other commissioners?
Through the chair, it's Mark McKeel.
Good, Mark.
I would just echo Commissioner Deacon's thoughts. I know that when we did the site walk, I saw everything from, which very concerning to me, brake discs in there. Brake discs from that long ago. Obviously, we're talking asbestos. So I would be uncomfortable approving this with conditions of it being tested. I would recommend that we talk about having it tested first. Regardless of which way we go with this, that boat should be out of there tomorrow. That thing has been there for so many years. Is there oil in the crankcase? Is there gasoline in the fuel tanks? And then there's quite aged precast concrete tubes. I don't know if they were intended initially for a sewer or they're in the upland review area. And then my last concern is Attorney Russo, you showed the plantings. I'm very concerned about any encroachment into that third lot. When we did the site walk, if I misstepped, I was falling into that third lot. So I don't know what precautions we can take. A silt fence, to me, is not going to be sufficient to protect the wetlands from any overflow from into lot 3. I know we have no intention of doing anything with lot 3 at this time, but I do concern myself with lot 3, and the wetlands is, I can't point on it, but obviously the wetlands is right down that hill. So anything that encroaches on that is going to fall down into the wetlands, which is my concern. That's it for me.
All right, I need to point out something. If we were to, approve this tonight or, whenever, we can always make a condition of approval that the testing has to be done to meet the engineering department's approval. And until they granted or approved it, they wouldn't be able to move ahead with the construction. So we're protected there. There's no problem on that. So any other questions from the commissioners?
To the chair.
Who is that? I can't see on the screen.
David.
I was waving my
Hey,
hand.
David.
Oh, John, do you want to go first?
Go ahead, David. I just want to let you know, I've been going like this. Okay, go ahead.
It
Now,
blurs out on the screen.
understand something. Let me explain. I can only see 3 people on the screen when we have anything that's up on the screen. So
I'll yell next time. Go
that's
ahead,
why
Dave.
you gotta yell out. I can't see you.
Yo.
Okay, wait a moment. Yo beats it. Go ahead, John.
No, go ahead, David.
I would just like to echo the concerns of the previous 2 commissioners. This site has been used as a dump for many, many years by various individuals. I don't know if it's the applicant, previous owners, random people, or whatnot, but this property has been used as a dump for a long time. And there seems to be some consensus that, this material is going to be used to fill the sites, which should not be the case. The dumped material should be removed and disposed of prior to any buildings building permits being issued. And as far as lot 3 goes, I think it needs to be very clear that there can be no disturbance or encroachment into lot 3 as a result of the construction activities on parcel B or parcel A. Because, I think with the history of this subdivision and this property, it's just been yeah, if a little bit gets over there, it's not a big deal, just dump it and it'll be fine, which very much concerns me. And I think it's time to rein this in. Thank you.
All right, John?
Okay, thank you. According to the plans, we are going to have basements in both of these houses. Is this true?
Attorney Russo, can you answer that?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
No, because I remember there's going to be walkout to the back, if I remember right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Correct.
That hasn't changed because and I'm familiar with the fill looks like underneath what we have right now. I think we're dealing with a new, cleaner fill pile than we've had before. It would be interesting for the town to come out and take a look when those basements are excavated to see what we're dealing with down here. So as a condition, can we have the basements for both of these lots done at the same time? Are both of these going to be built at the same time, Mr. Russo?
I'm not sure that they would be done at the exact. I mean, it would make sense for them to be done at the exact same time. I am not positive as to that answer though.
Wouldn't it make more sense to do parcel B before you did parcel A?
That's a construction question I'm not sure the answer to. I'm also not sure, and I'm sure you can defer to Attorney Cordone on this, because they are separate approvals, if they could be tied to in the approval to coincide with each other. I don't know if there could be a condition to that effect.
You're showing them on the same plans.
Yeah, I defer to Attorney Cordone on, but I don't believe that would be enforced.
Would it matter to the applicant?
Well, aren't they owned by 2 separate individuals?
Correct. They're owned by 2 separate entities.
Okay. So parcel B, I have more concern about because it's closer to the wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went up there and did an inspection, I could find 2 stakes for the proposed dwelling. I imagine the others would be somewhere in the fill pile because I did look in the fill pile. I couldn't find those. And then there's filter fabric installed along if we look at the map for reference, the upper left corner of parcel B, as you would view the map, there's filter. But as you looked over into the third line, you can even see rubble, and in the whole hill, there's been debris that even has encroached into lot 3. And I don't know what we're going to do. What kind of landscaping are we going to do? We're going to just do something pretty and put up a fence and leave all the stuff on the other side. I see that there's a plan here in parcel B to do some grading and then some wetlands planting. How does this and the road profile map on sheet C play into each other. What am I looking at when I look at this cross section? Am I looking from lot 3 into the hill, or where is the cut done?
This is only with regards to these two lots. It does not
Okay.
have anything to do with this lot. That's beyond. It's totally
Okay.
separate lot, and it's yeah. I mean, it's not a part of this application.
So where's the cut then?
The cut for
We're looking at topographical information here, right? On grades.
what sheet? What sheet are you?
Sheet C.
Sheet
I'm looking at a plan from May 19th, 2015.
right. Sheet 2 or
Sheet 3. Oh, it's a C size sheet. I'm sorry. It's sheet 3 of 7. I'm sorry. I gave you a C, which is the size. It's sheet 3.
That is the road profile.
Okay. So we're just looking at the cross sections of the road, Bill, and not of the lot?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so we don't address what's going on the in the interface between the two lots, parcel B, and let's call it the third lot. It would have been
Not in this cross section.
yeah. Okay. Does the town feel satisfied when they go up there and do an inspection if they just stopped right there at the line and there's nothing done with for cleanup on lot 3?
Well, Lot 3 is not part of this
Okay.
discussion right now, John, so.
Okay, so we're going to put up the limit of disturbance is the boundary line between parcel B and lot 3 then. And nothing should happen over on that lot line.
correct?
I see a catch basin down there. Who's
That's
taking
a
care of
fun-
that?
That's
The scour hole.
Yeah,
Whose lot has the scour hole attached to it?
lot 3.
So the scour hole is not going in, as shown on the plan.
It has to go in. That's what they have to connect all the drainage to.
It's lot 3. It's lot 3.
Yep.
It's not one of these two lots. Then why we have a scour hole here?
Because that's the only place they can drain the water to.
But it's not. Do we have an easement for that?
They would have to file one.
So shouldn't that be filed before they come back again? Make sure that there's no problem with the owner of that other lot.
Well, it could be a condition of approval to obtain that to obtain that easement.
Shouldn't be a problem, John, because it's still the
Same owner.
same owner.
Through the chair.
Okay.
Go ahead, Richard.
Just real quick to what Mr. Vice Chairman Laurie said. If it's going through Lot C, does that require them to add that to their approval that there's a new property on the lot, or can we just do it through an easement? Because technically we're putting something.
Attorney Cordon will agree it can be done via easement. Am I right?
Now work's being done on a new property.
You can get an easement on that property, yes.
I would think the easement is a matter, of course, that has to be filed on the land records for that scour hole to exist. But for work to be done on a separate parcel, that would need its own separate application for disturbance within that parcel.
So they'll have to come back at a later time, separate from, like, this can be approved and then the scour hole have to be separate? Because the third application will hold up their CO then.
I don't know where the regulated area is with respect to that. I can't tell from the maps I'm looking at the moment, but just remind the commission.
The scour hole is a big black square in the corner of lot 3.
Yeah.
I just remind the commission that these two applications were approved by this commission already. So we are now trying to make
And
sure
that approval has expired, correct?
It has expired, but we've already.
So we're doing a courtesy as trying to get it through, but we need to look at this with fresh eyes.
I'm not questioning. that, but I just want to remind the commission that we have already approved these two projects.
Right, and the lot 3 is owned by the owner of parcel A. So parcel B is in parcel A is also the owner of parcel A is also the owner of what's labeled on this plan as map D10 lot 321 322.
Right, that's fine, and that's all well and good, but these exist as 3 separate parcels where there's activity occurring on 3 separate parcels. So there should be 3 separate applications that address the work being done on those 3 separate parcels. Or, I don't know, maybe they can take that scour hole and move it back onto parcel B. There just seems to be a lot of mixing of, you know, it's the same owner, so we can do whatever we want, and it can go here and it can go there, and we can throw some dirt here and we can throw some dirt there, and it's getting kind of sloppy.
But
I would suggest that they move that scour hole back onto B.
Mhm.
And that you're also gonna need an easement for the easement in favor of A over parcel B.
Correct.
Mhm.
I think that would solve the whole problem.
Yeah, and we don't have any problem moving it onto parcel B.
Right, that's a great solution.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get down there with a machine? You have a plan, construction plan on how to get down there without ripping everything up?
You can do it by hand.
I could do it. Through the chair,
Go ahead, Laura.
I had a question regarding the road construction. I imagine that's part of this application.
Yes.
Okay. I see that there's a proposed extension of the road. Why wouldn't it be constructed at this time to the end of the property? Because now we have this lot owned by Emilio Ferry, that extra lot in the back, lot 3, parcel 3, I'm sorry, that he's now landlocked and he won't have access to. I guess he would have access through the town right away, but it's not paved, and it's just gonna dead end there, and you're gonna have a manhole, a sanitary manhole. Wouldn't it be wise to extend the road at least up past parcel B? It just seems like, well, you have the equipment, you're mobilizing, you could do all this work.
There's a lot of history here.
I know. Well, this is what I'm looking at this with fresh eyes. I was not on the commission when it was initially approved. So these are what I see. And that would be a question that I have. And I also have a question is with the drainage, there's a high point in this new Sycamore Street. And you're piping it all towards Pine Street. You're not piping any of the runoff or drainage down towards the wetland area, you know, having it be attenuated correctly. But it seems like, and that wetland counts on the water flowing down towards it, you know, it's the width of the road. And my other question is, which is not really wetland, but me putting on my engineer's hat, is the turnaround appropriate for fire apparatus?
We went through this whole turnaround thing.
You did? Okay. I just wanted to bring it up. So they're good. I won't
Yeah.
go further with that, but with maybe the road, I don't know. I just thought it would go to the end of at least parcel B.
It could always be extended later, but.
Well, it
based
could
on
be
what we
extended
got-
later.
Yeah,
but
so
you're
I think we
building
should
the road
leave
now.
good enough alone right now, based on what we know.
Well, yeah, but you're bringing in all the equipment. You disturb the regulated area once. We're supposed to be.
I will vote against extending the road.
Commissioner Pooley, I obviously understand some of the commissioners were not on the commission when we originally came in for this approval. We did come in for the last lot. There was a lot of discussion about that lot. It was very complicated, whereas parcel A and parcel B were much less complicated than that final lot. And so after a lot of back and forth on that, we decided not to pursue at that time anything with that third lot in the back, and just focus on these front two lots. Because the third lot was
It's very wet.
kind of messing the whole thing up. So that's why, and that's why we're just coming back with that. And so, you know, and it was, I mean, you know,
Okay. Well,
I met Bill Maher at the beginning of this application, and he was sick of me by the end of it. So
that's not a building lot. My question is, I guess it's not a building lot then. It's just a lot. It's got a lot of wetlands on it. It's got steep slope. Could it even support a house? I mean, maybe it will just be left undeveloped, which would be kind of nice.
All right, are we good? Anybody else on the commission? Okay. Attorney Russo, are you good?
Well, the only thing I would just say, Chair, there were some there were comments that were made, and we are agreeable to one, the former conditions of approval certainly being conditions of approval. With this one, those were worked on, in this whole application was worked on extensively between our engineers and staff, and then the testing of any piles. The pile that is there, my client has told me, is for Sycamore Street, and so and that's why they have that pile there.
You can't put that material into Sycamore Street on a base of a road?
Well, no, it's going to be used. It was intended to be used for the construction, is what my client had told me. So I thought it was in connection with connecting to Sycamore Street. I don't have them here to answer that question, but that is what I had been told. You know, any material used on the site, we would certainly agree, whether it's there or it is to be brought there. We would agree to a condition of approval that it be tested. We would also agree to the condition of approval that the boat be removed, and any type of, so I think Commissioner McKeel made a point to this effect of some type of control to make sure that there was no encroachment into that third lot, whether silt fence or any type of, you know, 2 rows of silt fence or any type of, you know, something to ensure that we don't encroach onto that third lot. We would certainly accept that as a condition of approval.
So is your client accepting that the pile is theirs?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about, yeah, I think if we're talking about the same thing, then yes, there is a pile there. Again, they thought their approvals were in place still, and so they started to get ready to be able to build these 2 lots. And what started this whole thing is when they came into the town and then found out that their approvals had expired.
Mr. Chairman, Jim Cordone, Attorney Russo, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Attorney Russo, some of the commissioners expressed concern that these items have sort of languished for a while. Would your client agree as a condition of approval that a certain time period be set for both the testing of the soil there and the removal of the boat? And if so, what time would be reasonable?
Yeah, certainly. We would accept that as a condition. I don't know what the time frame is to get materials tested. So if something like 90 days, if that would, you know, especially during a pandemic, I don't know what that is currently running to do something like that. But I would think within 90 days we could have the materials tested and have the boat removed for the
Good
definitely the boat being
Through the
removed.
chair.
The testing of
Good
material.
chair.
Hold on, go ahead, Bill.
I'd like to make the condition that an environmental professional be the one doing the testing and the report be shared with the town.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Laura. And while I've got you and also Bill, what are you finding is the timing now to do something like this?
I'm pretty familiar. If you can get an LEP out there within a week or two, they could get tested within 5 days.
Right.
So you're comfortable if we ask for 30 days, we're not being unreasonable?
No.
All right.
So through the chair, it's Mark McKeel.
Go ahead, Mark.
So it's not just one mound that we need to have tested. There are
Several.
multiple. It's Mount Sycamore range. There are a bunch of mounds that need testing. To Bill Maurer's point, I don't know who should direct that. Multiple sites there to be tested, not just in the middle of Sycamore Street. That's just a concern I have.
The LEP should know what to test. That's what their expertise is in. They'll visually see what's been deposited on the site, and they'll tell you how many tests should be taken based on the quantity that is on site.
I think Bill should be involved in that
Yeah.
operation, because we've got multiple
No.
piles of
No.
material that have been of questionable source and questionable content that have been deposited in the town right of way by the applicant.
Yep,
Through the
And
chair. I'm sorry.
definitely.
it's kind of like a mini dump.
You don't want to call it that, right?
Through the chair.
Good, Carmine.
Last month, I asked for silt fence to be installed around those piles, especially the big one that Richard referred to as Mount Sycamore. It is dangerously close to the wetlands, and my concern is material getting down into the wetlands. And I haven't heard anything about whether or not that has been done. And if not, will it be done before any testing and removal?
All right, well, let me ask, no, it wasn't when I was out. Bill, you've been out there, and I believe Jim Bova's been out there. Did you see it?
When I was out there was a silt fence.
There was,
Yes, there was.
yeah.
I was out there this weekend and there was silt fence.
All right, so that's been handled.
Yeah, I always check the weekend before.
All right.
Through the chair, it's Mark. So there's silt fence along the border of Lot 3, but I believe Commissioner DeFeo asked about around the mounds. Are there? I did not see silt fence. I saw the silt fence along property line 3, but not around the mounds. John, is that what you saw?
Well, you know what I see is the mounds being pretty close to 3, right? So if you put a lot of the silt fence right up in the border between 2 and 3, you're only talking about sometimes being like 10 feet away from the mound. So that may be considered part of it. And then when you get to that upper corner where that bank is, the silt fence does wrap around. So I think the mound is being protected from the wetlands. If there's 10 feet of area between the mound and the silt fence, I don't think that's a big deal, as long as the silt fence is there. That's my opinion. And so I think that silt fence is adequate right now. I don't know what it looked like before. It was installed properly. There was dirt put under the silt fence the way you should put it, not like you see some applicants just having it waving like a flag in the wind. So it looked good.
Through the chair.
And I don't know who that was.
Rich.
Go ahead, Richard.
Thank you. In reference to the minutes for the application 1513, it talks about terracing, that there will be no terrace, no deck proposed. Obviously, they have to come back to the Wetlands Commission for approval. It also mentions that the lawn is outside the regulated area and the stormwater system is within the regulated area. However, it was stipulated that the lawn will stop at the boundary where the stormwater system ends. So I have a couple questions. First of all, the lawn that's certainly, I mean, it's not going to stay in the condition it is now. Someone's going to landscape the property, and presumably number 3 as well. So what's the plan for lawn cover? And what's the plan for number 3? Because although number 3 isn't on the agenda today, at some future date, someone's going to have to repair that property. It certainly can't stay in its current state. No one would want to purchase the land next to open dirt, regardless of the mountain of fill. So the first question is, what's the plan for lawn cover, and is that just going to abruptly end at the border of B and 3, or is there some plan that is in place for lot 3?
Well, not, under this application, nothing's being proposed for lot 3. If Commissioner Deacon, if you want something like a fence installed along the border between parcel B and lot 3, we're certainly happy to accept that as condition of approval and have that be the limit of the lawn. But I mean, there's nothing, we're not proposing anything for lot 3.
Okay.
So the lawn, you know, that meaning that, you know, we're not proposing for the lawn to go into lot 3.
Okay, I understand. I guess also my concern is, again, as it stands, work will have to be done in lot 3 to remove debris, to clean it up, just, you know, to make it aesthetically attractive. Because if you have 2 brand new homes and then lot 3 is still in its current state, obviously be an issue there, not from us, but from your buyer or your resident, whoever's going to live there is not going to want to see that. So it's going to have to be cleaned at some point. And it would be, obviously it's saying it's going to be separate because of there's a mention of a stipulation of judgment having to do with a ZBA application, but along that, it mentions that, it talks about where the lawn is going to stop. So beyond that, obviously the stormwater system is going to connect to all of it. I guess at some point, there's either going to be landscaping that doesn't require our approval, or there's going to be some pretty significant movement. Since there's a lot of dirt there, and there could be some significant grade changes over time, at some point, someone's going to have to deal with lot 3, because like I said, it can't just stay as it is. And no one wants it to stay as it is. In fact, it would probably be great if you could fix it up. But seeing that it may require a permit, and hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, that's something that's going to have to be considered, because down the road, it's going to have to be fixed.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And if there was anything that required if they wanted to do anything in lot 3 that required your approval, obviously they would have to come and submit an application for that lot to do that work in the lot, if it's something that required a permit.
Okay. And then finally, I guess I would like to just clarify, because I've wondered for 12 years where the mountain came from. So it seems to be a combination of the applicant legitimately putting fill there for legitimate reasons. Whether or not it's in the road, let's set that aside. But there is legitimate fill there for a legitimate application. And evidently others have dumped these break parts and concrete and whatever that other materials are. Am I correct in assuming that there is a combination of good, clean, legitimate fill from a good, legitimate application and illegal dumping?
I don't know about the illegal dumping, and I can't speak to.
And I'm not blaming the applicant for the dumping. I'm just saying someone put it there.
It's just unfortunately something I just can't speak to. I'm not sure, and I'd have to go back to the applicant to talk to them and look and see if they have any idea. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're just looking to, you know, move forward on these 2 lots and to, you know, move forward with developing these 2 lots in accordance with, you know, what we have previously approved here.
Chris, Attorney Russo, I'm trying to help you out here. I'm saying hopefully the good news is that your applicant
Correct.
put it there, a good portion of it. No one's attempting to blame anybody for the dumping. I'm assuming some other individuals dumped it there. The good news would be is, hey, you know, Emilio Ferry put it there. We know it's clean. It's probably gonna be okay. That would be the best situation.
Right.
Nobody's going after any type of dumping punishment. It's just where it's from. If it's from Mr. Ferry, awesome. He probably got it from a clean place.
Mhm.
Whatever else is in there, it's got to be clean to the satisfaction of the town engineer. But
Absolutely.
nice to know that, hey, the majority of it we put there because it's been there for a long time. And, you know,
Yeah, and there definitely was. I mean, when originally this, and it's the same thing holds is, I mean, when the applicant originally came in on this, these are two houses that he intends for his daughters. And they had thought that they were going to be moving here into these new houses. Life circumstances, they had young kids. They decided to put it off. And when it came to the time where they decided, okay, yes, we're ready to, you know, to move into the, you know, new houses here, you know, behind parents, you know, they had been getting ready for this project for some time, and then they came to finally do it. It happened during COVID. It messed up, you know, the things last year, and then when they finally went to move forward on it, the approval had expired, and that's what happened. They had thought that this was going to happen 5 years ago. Life circumstances changed those plans, but now they're looking for, you know, looking to move forward with it. You know, his daughters are looking to move into these new residences, and they're just, you know, looking to finally address this for once and for all. And I'm sure to the delight of everybody, because, you know, this has been something that's been out there being needed to be addressed for years.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments, questions? You're good, Attorney Russo?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
All right, let's move on to the other application. I'm going to ask Mr. Deacon to read the public notice for application 21-01.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Notice is hereby given that the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission of the Town of Trumbull will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April the 6th, 2021 at 7 p.m. via video conference. Application 2101, Jacoby Construction LLC. Permit approval for a new house with a two-car garage, utilities, and underground detention within a regulated area at 153 North Street. Copy of the applications and maps are on file at the Town Engineer's Office, Town Hall, and on the Town of Trumbull website. Due to COVID restrictions, please contact the office to discuss the options available for viewing the documents. Public comment may be sent by email to clombardo@trumbull-ct.gov. Must be received 24 hours in advance to the meeting, or public comment can be made via phone or video conference connection at the public hearing. Dated at Trumbull, Connecticut, this 4th day of March, 2021. Richard H. Gerard, Senior Chairman, Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission of the Town of Trumbull.
Thank you, Mr. Deacon. Let's see. I'm assuming is Mr. Jacoby here to
Chair, actually, Chris Russo.
okay,
With
you're gonna
Return
handle
Resident
this one?
LLC.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, you're not done with me.
No problem.
I have that ability to stay around longer. Yeah, so I am here on behalf of Jacoby Construction LLC for the property of 153 Main Street. I have, Bill, I don't know if you can, sorry, 153 North Street. Bill Kenny and Jimmy Zumo should probably be out there looking to get in. They're gonna speak to a couple things. The commissioners, remember, we kept this hearing open to address certain issues that were brought up at the last hearing. I'm gonna just quickly run through those, and then I'll defer to the experts to go into some further detail. The first one, I'm just going to pull up the new plan here if I can. There we go. Okay, that should be up on the screen now. So at the last hearing, there are a number of comments that came up. The main one, I think, was the commission asked us to look at separating the detention systems for the driveway and the house. We've done that. We now have two different systems, one for the driveway, one for the house. Two different infiltration systems, and Jimmy can go into the details on that design. We also, in looking at alternate plans, we looked at redesigning the dwelling. We shrunk the building by 4 feet in length. And we also raised the building. I know there was a lot of discussion about the basement. So we actually raised the building up. And we also changed the building. It was a 2-story dwelling. We switched it to a cape that's only 1.5 stories. So we shrank the floor area as well. And Jimmy, when he talks, we'll go into, there was a test hole that I know the commission wanted that they did. We were asked to replace the patio with a deck, which we have done. And we were asked to change the fence that we had along the back for a wetlands demarcation to boulders. And we did that as well. And finally, I'm going to have Bill speak to this, Bill Kenny, but we were asked to have him investigate a body of water to the rear of the site. And he did that. And so I will have him speak to that. But first, I'll give it over to Jimmy to explain what we did with regarding to the drainage and the building itself.
Commission, James Zumo, Land Surveying Services. Chris, if you could just pop over to the revision. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. You don't want to hear it for a 4th time, I'm sure. Like Chris said, we raised the house up. We did a test hole in the on the the western side of the property near where the proposed house is. We did hit mottling and water at 26 inches. Luckily, we didn't have to do too much. We raised the house up a tad so that we can make sure that the bottom of the footings is at that mottling elevation. Luckily, we had our slab for the garage over there, so we didn't have to do much with the garage elevation. In raising the building, we created a small little garden wall. It's about 1.2 feet high in the front to kind of add some aesthetics to the front. Nothing crazy there in regards to engineering a wall. It's only 1.2 feet high, not holding back much earth. Split the system into 2. The driveway and the house are both being routed into both of the systems. So a portion of the house is going into the eastern system. A portion of the house is going into the western system. Same with the driveway. We then created an additional level spreader to outlet towards the wetlands for overflow. We kept the footing drain in there. I know that was a point of contention last time. We kept the footing drain in there in the event of, just to be safe. Like I said, we had pushed this so that the footings are at the mottling elevation so that we can have our slab above all the water that we've encountered in all of our test holes. We've added a generator pad on there. The intention is to not necessarily install a generator at this point in time, but we would like it on the approval. If that is on the western side of the house. I kept it 10 feet off the house. Of course, that will have to go through all the building department's approvals for where that can be located. Zoning wise, we should not have any issues with that as well. Grading changed very minimally. We pulled the 108 contour out a little bit farther down the driveway. We opened up a curb area so that we can have sheet runoff off of the driveway into our catch basin that we have located in the middle of the yard, towards the northwestern portion of the property. So that will catch any sheet runoff that will be created over there with the conversion over to grass. I made sure to go over with Mr. Jacoby about our tree removal. We have 34 trees on the property that are going to be removed. We went through each and every one of them and figured which ones are going to be, worth to keep and which ones should we get rid of. We kept plenty on the northern property lines between the stone wall and our proposed development to make sure that we still have some of that natural buffer that isn't going to affect the neighbors too much. So they're still looking at the same trees they did for the past 20 years. And that basically sums up the revisions made to this plan from the last meeting.
Okay.
All right, what I'm going to ask before, we have commissioners that might have questions for you. If Mr. Kenny can update us as to what was requested of him.
Good evening. If I could share my screen, that would be great. And
All right, I'll stop sharing.
thanks. I'm Bill Kenny, a professional wetland scientist, soil scientist, and registered landscape architect. So I visited the property this morning, and there is an area within the wetland that has standing water, and it does extend onto the property in this general area. I've just sketched that area on, it hasn't been surveyed, and then it extends off the property to the south in that area. So I walked around the entire perimeter of that area and walked into the middle of that area in multiple locations, and I did not find any evidence of breeding by obligate or indicator vernal pool species. I didn't find any egg masses from wood frogs or spotted salamanders. So I'm not seeing any vernal pool breeding activity in this wetland. Also, as I've mentioned at the previous meetings, that to have a functioning vernal pool, you need not only the physical wetland pool area, but you also need the upland surrounding it, a substantial forested area. That the guidelines, the industry standard that's often used from a publication by Dr. Michael Clemens is that you want to see 50 to 75% of forest land within 750 feet of the pool. You want of that land within 750 feet, you want it to be 50 to 75% forested. And we've reviewed the aerial photos from the town GIS, and based on that, the amount of forest within 750 feet is around 25%. So it's substantially below what you would likely see with a pool that's of value and able to support the frogs and salamanders. When they're not breeding in the pool for this short period of time in the spring, they live out in the forest the rest of the year, and they need that forest land as much as they need the pool. It'd be like having a beautiful house on the moon. You could live inside the house, but if you stepped outside, you wouldn't be able to live. So the house is of no value or limited value at a location like that. So those are my findings. At this time, I don't find that area is a vernal pool, and based on what I'm seeing, I don't expect that it would be.
All right, thank you. I'm now going to ask Tatiana for her comments.
So just to clarify, you're certifying that this is not a vernal pool, the body of water. Is that the answer that we're hearing?
That's based on what I've seen. That is my professional opinion, is that it's a wetland, inland wetland, but I don't conclude that it's a vernal pool.
Okay. We have received some information from the Southwest Conservation Commission saying that it doesn't really have to be such an expensive habitat. That's why I wanted to make sure that's not a vernal pool. So thank you for that. Should the commission feel that it's time to vote on the application, I would ask that they put a condition that the engineering comments be addressed prior to building permit sign off. I have not provided a letter, but the engineer has it. So otherwise, we don't have anything outstanding.
All right, thank you, Tatiana. Now I'm going to ask Attorney Cordone if you could give us a quick overview on that this lot is a P and Z approved building lot from, what is it, the 1970s?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's before this commission tonight is not whether this is an approved zoning lot or not. Your task is to determine the impact of any, if any, of the application before you with respect to the construction of this house on this building footprint. That's what's before this commission. As mentioned in the previous meetings, there was a variance granted in the 1970s that waived the requirements for an interior lot, including road frontage and various setback requirements. That variance runs with the land, and so it remains in effect. It does not expire. So that is the reason why there is the ability to construct on this site.
All right, thank you, Counselor. The reason I asked for that is this is a public hearing, and if we have anybody that speaks from the public, I would ask that you do not go into planning and zoning issues, because that's out of our purview. I will now open it up to the commission.
Yo.
No.
Does Yo go?
Go ahead, John.
YOLO. Okay. Yo goes. This is a real quick one. Well, there's two of them. One's a little bit longer. This one's for Mr. Kenny. When you went back and investigated the wetland area that had standing water, maybe a pond, did you observe any amphibians? Did you hear any frogs croaking or anything back there? Or was it just dead and there was nothing alive at all for the most part?
That's a good question. Today, I did not hear anything. I know I spoke with a neighbor this morning who indicated that she's heard spring peepers there, but I saw no evidence of frogs in the wetland this morning.
Okay, and it was warm enough that they should have been making some noise, right? So.
Yes, and there was quite a bit of activity about 2 weeks ago when we had a warm day and rainy weather. If you like, for example, if you go to the Connecticut Deep's website for Fish and Wildlife, they have some people posting on there where they saw wood frogs and spotted salamanders migrating in various areas of southern Connecticut, including Shelton and some other towns.
Okay, very good. My other question would be for the engineer, and it really has to do with the construction of the roadway coming in. So since we're putting utilities in the road, we're gonna have to dig up the whole road, and we have just a 10-foot wide right of way. How are we going to, where are we going to put all the dirt, Warner? First of all, if you're digging up the road, are you intending on dropping dirt into this lot or hauling it off site or putting in a little bit of pipe at a time and then redumping in?
So as the lines are being developed, as the lines are being installed, they will the excavated material will be removed from where we are excavating, put into a truck and brought to the site. As you can see from the site, there is a bunch of grading that will be done on site that will require fill. Not all of that fill will remain. We will have to backfill the pipes. We will have to backfill the sewer line. We will have to backfill the water line, and whatever remains from that will remain on site.
So during the operation, are you planning on stockpiling the road dirt or matter on site? Is that going into the stockpile or not?
Whatever it comes out during the construction of the lines will be put in the stockpile area, and then whatever is required to go back with the after the backfilling, after the pipes are installed, will be replaced with what was removed.
Okay, thank you.
To the chair.
Go ahead, David.
YOLO. Does that work? During the last meeting, we had talked about the possibility of implementing some LID development practices, the idea of a rain garden, anything like that. It just seems that we took the first opportunity and split the system and then left it at that. Did you give any consideration to any LID development practices to try and soften the impact on this lot?
Based off of our, the test hole that we did and the grading that we are doing, we just don't believe that a rain garden is gonna be the long-term, the long-term, solution on this site. Underground systems they're much easier to maintain, with standard maintenance throughout the season, especially with catch basins with deeper sumps. We would much rather prefer to have the underground systems. We added another outlet structure, so now we have 2 outlet structures there.
That's a traditional engineering approach. Did you give any consideration to any of the LID
No, we wanted to stick with the traditional engineering approach, and we didn't want to have to deal with a rain garden.
Okay.
You're done, David?
I'm done.
Okay, who else would like to address this? Anyone else?
Through the chair, it's Mark McKeel.
Go ahead, Mark.
So when were the test holes dug? I don't think I have that date.
So we dug a test hole actually on March 12th, and the test holes previously were done in July of 2020, July 8th of 2020.
Right, I have those.
And then we dug a test hole on March 12th, just 3 weeks ago, on the western portion of the proposed dwelling.
Just on the western portion?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any comments, questions? You're good, Bill? All right. All right.
Through the chair.
Was that Richard? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There were a number of pieces of correspondence from various members of the community. It would be impossible for me to summarize all of them, nor would we want to, as we've already heard them. However, I would like to know if, whether it's now or during the community part of the public hearing, if the applicant would be able to address those various questions that had been brought up.
Okay, well, what I thought we would do is open it up to the public hearing, see what comments come in, and then we'll give it back to Mr. Zumo and to Mr. Kenny. All right?
That's good, thank you.
All right, Mr. Chin, do we have anybody that wishes to speak?
There appears to be one person to speak, Betty, and I'll bring her in as a panelist. Okay, Betty, you can take yourself off mute.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You have to identify yourself and give the address if you would, please.
Sure. Betty Cinco, 151 North Street.
Okay, I am going to ask, by the way, we did get your newest correspondence, and there was quite a bit to do with planning and zoning, and as we've stated, that's out of our purview, so I would appreciate if you didn't go into that area. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna let my husband speak. Maybe you need to tell him which ones were involved with the planning and zoning.
Hello?
Go ahead, Mr. Cinco. Please identify yourself.
Yes, sir. George Cinco, 151 North Street, Trumbull.
Okay, as I had requested of your wife, You made comments last month, and in your newest correspondence, you're addressing issues with planning and zoning, which are out of our purview. So I
Okay,
appreciate if you just keep this into our area, which is wetlands.
I'll try my best. I hope the wetlands does the same.
We are trying, sir. Go ahead.
All right, let me start by saying, even though you don't want to cover old ground, I gotta make this comment that out of all the meetings that have been going on over this property, besides the engineer and Kenny, there has not been one person who spoke in favor of this application. The other thing I like to say is, hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. The test pit that was mentioned a little while ago, it was actually dug on the west side of the property. I don't know if it makes a big difference, but maybe somebody knows how to, should get a compass. But the guy who dug the hole and the surveyor both told me that the pit filled with water almost immediately. My point being, the whole lot is wet. And as I said before, it's like a bowl. There's no outlet for any accumulation of water. To put a house there would really be ridiculous. And there was a commissioner also stopped by today. He mentioned that he thought it would be a really bad move to develop that property, which is a beautiful piece of wetland. Not only is it wetlands, it's a habitat. So I hope that comes under your purview. It's a habitat, wetland habitat. And there are peepers out there. Even the neighbors said so this morning when Kenny was there. They come out, they were out about a week ago making noise. And just because he doesn't find a frog egg doesn't mean they're not there. As everybody knows, it's been extremely dry the last several years. We hardly got any precipitation over this past winter. So my point is, it's a lot drier now than it has been in the past on that property. And the other thing I like to mention, apparently somebody tried to research the well that was mentioned in the past. Apparently the guy who dug the well back in the 20s didn't tell anybody in the town he was going to do it, but it's still there. Another thing I like to say is on the Zumo just talked about partially about the thing that collects the water and pumps it out over, it spreads it out. They got, I guess at the end of the pipe, they have what they call spreaders. Once the water is pumped, it goes through a piping system. They have it channeled toward the back of the property. Well, there's a private property owner who lives on Irwin Street that owns the adjacent property on the whole southern border of this subject property. He's probably got the wettest lot in the neighborhood. And I don't think he'd appreciate water being pumped towards his property. So I think somebody needs to take a real good look at that. There's just so many things that don't add up for, makes this an unfeasible project. I know you don't want to go over it and you don't want to hear it, but I guess other people have been able to talk about things that don't exactly pertain to wetlands either. But just give me 10 seconds. We got the driveway restriction width. It's only 10 feet. They call for
Sir, wait,
30.
excuse me, Mr.
Yeah,
Cinco,
I
please.
know.
It has nothing to do with this. I'm not being
It's got
rude.
everything to do with it.
Sir, it is out of our purview. Please stay with wetlands.
Well, it's part of the wetland lot. Isn't it? It's part
Is
of the
there
wetland
anything,
lot.
excuse me, sir, is there anything else you'd like to bring up?
Give me a second. Yeah, there is. You received a letter from someone who's submitted letters in the past. He wants to have somebody, a third party, look at the actual soil testing. It seems as though nobody has any faith in the results from this soil testing. As myself, it's in reading the report, it seems as though even the guy who did the testing talks a good game, but he doesn't really seem to have any faith in his own findings.
How would we do a third-party testing?
So how would we do this third-party testing that I think this letter writer has mentioned that they should be able to do?
Right now, it's not been brought up to where it's a point of contention with our engineering department or ourselves. So what else do you have, Mr. Cinco?
Really? Can you say that again?
What else do you have, Mr. Cinco?
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to say that the attitude of the board is very disappointing. Everybody's talking like it's a done deal. And you're not giving anybody who signed a petition against it or spoke in the past, got no consideration, but yet everybody was kind of like falling all over each other, helping the applicant. I don't believe that's what you should be doing. You should be protecting and preserving the wetlands.
I have to disagree with you, but.
Isn't that what you asked me to say?
Is there anything else, sir?
Yeah, you should be.
This is open to the public. We'd like to move on.
Well, I'm the only one that's speaking.
Do you have anything else that pertains to this application?
Well, if you're the chairman, I'd like to know if this is what we're going to be looking at, protecting and preserving wetlands or favoring a developer.
Sir, in 20 years of being on this commission, I've always pointed out that we always protect the wetlands the best we can. So is there anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Chin, is there anybody else that wishes to speak?
Mr. Chairman, it does not look like there's anybody else at this time.
All right, at this point, then I'm going to give Jim a chance to address items that came up about the test pit and the well. And so go ahead.
James Zumo, Land Surveying Services. I have no doubt, and I'm not denying what George is saying about the test hole. We did encounter water at 26 inches below grade.
Right.
We took into account with that, and we made sure we redesigned with that into account. There's no record of a well or a septic that I could find, or the construction or Jacoby Construction could find. If anybody has any information on that, pass it along, because we couldn't find anything. That's basically it.
All right, and okay, let me pass it back to the commission. Any other thoughts, questions?
To the chair.
Go ahead, David.
The point was or the question was brought up of third-party review. I don't believe this project is at the level where that would be required. Just as a matter of course. I don't think this rises to that level.
Nor did I, nor did engineering, but thank you for bringing that up.
Question?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Tatiana, it's a question for you. I heard you mention the Southwestern Conservation District. Was the review? Did somebody from the Conservation District come out and look at the property, or look at the plans?
They have done a quick review. They did not visit the property. I believe we shared the letter that we actually received today with the commission. And they just basically provided a recommendations of what the appropriate measures should be if the body of water was a vernal pool. But we did just receive a certification by a licensed wetland soil scientist that it is not a vernal pool. So I don't believe they those conditions or recommendations apply to this application. Does that answer your question, John? Or you muted?
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute. Double clicked. Yeah, that answers my question. There was no recommendations at all from Southwestern that we could incorporate in our decision here that would be helpful and not be a big hardship or anything like that?
Again, they kind of pertain more to a vernal pool. I'll skim through them really quickly if other commissioners have questions, and I'll maybe get back to you on that.
John, just so you know, we had reached out to them a while ago, but they were so busy, they just literally just got to Tatiana. And the main concern was the vernal pool, so, and that seems to have been answered.
Understood.
All right, any other commissioners?
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Carmine.
This is for Mr. Zumo. I walked the property a second time and it was very easy to find that well off the north. Hold on a second. Northeast corner of the house. It's right in that area. There's a concrete top. There's an electrical conduit and electrical box right on the ground.
Are you familiar with the area he's talking about, Mr. Zumo?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the site. Unfortunately, I didn't do the field work, so I'd love to go out there and if it is flagged, I'll go out there with Mr. Jacoby and I'll make sure to field locate that and get that on a plan that engineering can approve before we pull permits. But we'll make sure that that's all abandoned and disposed of in the proper manners prior to any permits being issued.
All right. Any other comments, questions?
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Richard.
Just looking in to the minutes from the March 2nd meeting. There's a couple comments that were made, and I think we're still holding off, waiting for additional results. One of them had to do with a stream running under the property of one Trish Hayducky at 166 North Street. Perhaps I'm mistaken, but I don't remember hearing a follow-up on the stream that apparently she's saying it ran under her house. And this had to do with that shack that had been out in the back. Did we solve this issue?
I don't think it was ever asked of the applicants. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Zumo or Mr. Kenny. I don't think that's something we requested of you. Am I wrong?
Nope, I did not get any comments on that.
No.
Okay. And the other question we were still waiting on was this is regarding holding tanks and capacity of the water maintenance system. Did we ever get a definitive answer? I remember there was a significant issue with the width of the driveway in regards to capacity, and a little more clarity would be appreciated.
The capacity
Going to
of the,
interrupt you and say, Tatiana, are you fine with what was proposed by the applicant on that area?
I'm not sure I even understood the question, but the engineering review is pretty much complete. There are just a couple minor things, and again, we don't have any major issues.
But he's saying, I believe you're addressing the runoff from the driveway. Will it be handled, right?
Oh, of course.
Right. So,
Okay, so is there a condition of approval that the engineering department would like to add? Has that been added into the plan?
I think we'd like that the review comments be addressed. That's pretty much a standard condition of approval that we've had.
I'm not very convinced by your answer, Tatiana. There's got to be something definitive that I can cite. I don't want to just say the letter unless there's something specific.
Well, we have a letter of comments, and there are 26 of them. So we never include every single comment in your conditions. We always just say that engineering letter or review letter.
But it's in that letter.
Well, compliance with stormwater regulations, yes, it's there, and we do have something about driveway runoff, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm all, Mr. Chairman.
okay, anyone else from the commission? Okay, Attorney Russo, did you have anything else to add?
No, Chairman, I'll just say that that this commission always takes the greatest care with the wetlands. We have been before you on multiple times working with you, and we thank you for your feedback in looking at the design of this project. We've made a number of revisions in addressing those comments. Changed the dwelling itself, raised it up. We split the drainage systems. We added a boulder wall, a substantial demarcation to the wetlands. And this house will be one of the most to-code house in this area. It'll be serviced by sewer. It will be public water. And one of the things that we discussed a bit more at the last hearing is that the other properties are higher in grade, they run off to us. And so, but we will meet all the stormwater standards that you have. And we think this is a great project. So we respectfully request your approval. We thank you for your time and for your feedback in helping us to get to this place. Thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts or comments before I move to close the public hearing? All right, I need a motion.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Okay, seconded by? I'm sorry, who's, okay, by Richard. All right, I'll do it by hand that I can see the screen. All in favor? Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll, let me see here. All right, let's see. We'll, let's get the minutes out of the way, then we'll move to field and inspections and things. So.
Sure.
Go ahead, Richard.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the minutes of the March 2nd, 2021 regular meeting and found them to be in their usual order. And as a result, I make a motion to accept and approve.
Okay, seconded by Mark. Okay, all in favor again, if I can see. Okay, it was unanimous, all the commissioners. All right, let's see here.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Richard.
Mr. Chairman, could you just delineate which 7 of us are voting on the applications tonight?
Well, it's everyone except Laura is not a seated. So it would be, if you would like, it would be myself, it would be Mark, it would be David, it would be John, it would be Tony Silver, and yourself and Carmine. It should be 7 if I'm correct. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's go into work session. And on new business, I'm assuming we want to walk application 2111 and 2114. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I need a hand from either Colleen or Tatiana. I don't have easy access to my calendar. So give me an idea of, let's see, if today is the 6th, we want to give them some time. What works for you with P and Z and things like that, Tatiana? What's a good date in about 2.5, 3 weeks? What do you think?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 weeks, I'm pretty sure.
Give me a date.
There'll be somebody else. But are you looking for Tuesday or Thursday walk?
Usually Thursday, because Tuesday, if we don't want to go before you're getting ready for P and Z or anything, so.
All right,
How about the
so
20th?
20th would be 2 weeks from today.
exactly.
Sounds good. So we will do it on April 20th. We'll meet there at 3 o'clock and we'll go through that. And Colleen will notify the applicants. All right, let us move to old business. What's the pleasure of the commission on application 21-06?
Through the chair,
Go ahead, Richard.
motion to approve for discussion purposes only.
Okay, seconded by
I'll second.
Carmine. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
All right, following conditions. This is, of course, for.
Thought we were going to discuss.
I'm stating that this is for lot 319 and we'll have to do it all over again for 320.
So we're not going to have any discussion about the application?
Yeah, he's got to
We'll go
give it
through and then
first.
we, you know,
Dave,
go
I'm
through and you can add your thoughts.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Verespi, I'm simply stating that they are two separate applications and we'll have to do this twice because technically they are separate. Far be it from me to make any conditions over anyone else. May I suggest the following conditions, and perhaps the chairman would be so kind as to indulge a motion to approve them as part of the motion. They are, and I would recommend the following. 2.1, erosion controls. 2.2, also erosion controls. 2.4, LOD. 2.5, LOD. 2.7, invasive plants. 2.9, survivability period of 1 year minimum, ensuring that says the town engineer and not the town tree warden. 2.10, phasing and staging. I offer perhaps 2.11 about monumentation and 2.12 as a wetlands bond for your perusal. I also submit the following. The 7/1/15 letter from Mr. Smirilio and Mr. Moore. As 3.1 is 3.1. 3.2 would be that the limit of disturbance shall be the property line between, I should say, the property border of lots B and 3. 3.3, an easement for the scour hole in favor of. Am I going too fast? I'm sorry, Colin. Okay, so just to recap, 3.1 is the letter from 7/1/15, Smirilio and Moore. 3.2, the LOD shall be the boundary between lots B and 3. 3.3, an easement for the scour hole.
Excuse me, we're just doing parcel A, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes,
So
you're right.
then so your last statement applies to parcel B, I believe.
Sorry, yep, good point.
Okay, keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yep. And so this will be 3.2. I don't know what you want to call Mount Sycamore is not a real name. Let's call it the large pile of dirt, large pile of material. We'll call it that. I think we can all agree that's a nice nonpartisan way of saying.
There's several piles there, so let's just address it as,
Okay.
piles.
The various
Yeah.
piles of debris and dirt shall be tested by a licensed environmental professional before it is to be removed or before new soil is to be imported. Such results shall be shared with the town engineer and or his agent before the commencement of any work in the regulated area.
Might I suggest that we put a time limit again, 30 days? 30 days.
Such tests shall take place within 30 days.
Test results.
Test results.
Yep. 3.3, all vessels shall be removed within 30 days.
I think you should refer to it as the boat because vessel can mean a lot of different things.
All boats on the site shall be removed. And this applies to I don't know which property it's on. It's going to be a condition approval on both. Just like the mountain will be a conditional approval on both.
And I would just like to add to that, the precast concrete, damaged concrete tubing that's there should be removed within 30 days as well. That's,
I agree with that. We didn't really bring it up. It should go.
yeah, it could never be used for sewer or septic or anything like that. It's just completely cracked and damaged.
And if it's left there, they'll never get it out of there then. Once you put a house in front of it, it's there forever.
Or it'll end up in lot 3.
So let's make 3.3 say the boat and the precast tubing and associated material. 3.4, there was a reference in the old minutes to 5-foot planting buffer minimum around the property. I'm not sure if you wanted to continue that or supplant it with what's newly established. I defer to Mr. Verespi, our landscape expert.
What was that?
The old minutes say that there was a minimum 5-foot planting buffer around the property. I don't know if their new planting plan trumps that, or if you wanted to maintain that as one of their original.
I think we should maintain that.
Okay, let's call that 3.4. 3.5, and this one was something Mr. Vice Chairman Laurie mentioned. It was about simultaneously building the basements. I don't know if you want to continue that. I was somewhat unsure about that. I wanted to run that.
No
by
way
you.
to do that.
Fair enough. Let me also bring up 2 other things. First was monumentation. 3 things actually. Monumentation. Second was whether you want to have a wetlands bond. And the third was, well, the fence is going to be for lot B, so we'll hold that off. So just the monument and the bond. Perhaps that's something we want to consider.
All right,
To the
before
chair.
we go to the commission, Tatiana, have we missed anything that you feel? I know that you wanted the approval based on proof of getting the soil tested before you would release, to allow them to build. Anything else you can think of?
Typically for new dwellings, we ask for a site monitor to provide erosion control reports.
Got that as 2.2.
2.2 is no construction activity. Oh, I don't know. No, Colleen, you got the monitor?
An independent soil erosion control site approved by the town engineer must submit reports and photographs on a weekly basis, and that after each rainfall event of 0.5 inches or greater. Town engineer may change frequency of reports as project progresses.
Excellent, thank you.
Failure to submit reports may result in IWWC permit revocation.
You got an excellent from Tatiana. I'm impressed.
Remember that.
Miracles do happen.
Okay. Now, Mr. Verespi, you had some comments?
I have a problem with this application, both of these applications, because there's a mountain of material there, or several piles of material there that were deposited before there was an active building permit. So there was fill activity happening before there was an active building permit, and that fill's been there for a number of years. And they're saying that they just recently decided that they were going to start building. So I have a problem with a building permit being issued on these properties until this material issue is completely cleared up. I have even had consideration of holding up back a wetlands permit until this film material issue has been cleared up, because I think there's been sort of a fair amount of latitude taken with their position and the good graces of the commission, and they've kind of abused it. And I think we need to get this fill issue resolved before we can take another step, because things weren't done in the proper order, and they're just sort of skirting by the regulations here, in my opinion. And I think it's preemptive to issue an approval with a large outstanding issue such as this pile of material that was brought in prior to a building permit approved, and prior to us knowing what's going on with it. It just seems like it was dumped there.
Obviously, you misunderstood what I just said to Tatiana, that one of the conditions of approval would be that she would not release the wetlands permit for building until she receives proof on the condition of the soil test. Am I right, Tatiana?
Correct. So the
I think
conditions
it needs.
of
Go ahead.
approval are different from 2015. They're more stringent. We did put a timeline, so they have to comply before they get any building permit sign-offs, and actually within 30 days, even if they take longer to get the building permit. So
But what I'm saying, they come in and you find that there's contamination in the soil. You're going to hold up the wetlands permit until it's remediated or corrected. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's important, because this
I
this issue has
totally
been going on for a long time.
No.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Verespi, the way I crafted the condition was intended that they wouldn't be able to do anything, including getting rid of the fill or bringing new fill in. They could not do anything until those test results are in to the satisfaction of the town engineer.
All right.
In fact, that should be amended to say the one thing they can do is remove the boat, because they're going to have to do that within the 30 days. But let's make
sure. And the concrete.
The concrete
pipes.
The tubing, yes. The only things they can do right now are test, remove the boat, and remove the concrete precast. That's it. And presumably they're going to get a positive test result. Well, we should say negative thing. They can move along, and we can all be happily ever after and get rid of the brake pads. If there is a test that says, hey, this is toxic, then they're going to have to dispose of it again in a manner approved by the town engineer and or her agent.
And it would have to be remediated and taken care of before we release.
No construction until that happens.
Pardon?
Could I chime in a little bit?
Good,
It's approved in the manner that dictated by the Connecticut DEEP. It's over the town's expertise. We don't have expertise in that, so it's it's regulated by Connecticut D, where it will go, how it will be removed, and by who it will be removed by. It has to be a contractor that has the ability to handle this type of material if it has got some constituents of concern. So.
All right, Richard, did you get what Laura just mentioned?
Yeah, I approve the additions that Commissioner Pooley added. Those are excellent conditions.
Based on the Connecticut DEP. Okay. Thank you, Laura.
If I could say something as well?
Sure, John.
You know, it's not this new pile that bothers me that much. It looks kind of clean. It's the stuff that's been deposited there over the past decades, how deep it is. I brought up the issue of when we excavate for the basements, you're gonna see a lot of different material down there. I know you're gonna find a lot of bricks and asphalt, but those are also permittable fill materials. So I'm just worried about something that's even worse that could be found, and hopefully that doesn't exist.
Well, hopefully
We are
that.
gonna, we're gonna test more than the pile, right? Look, Tatiana?
So, the question, Commissioner Deacon, did we address it that the testing would be done? And I'm sorry, perhaps I just zoned out for a minute. As Mr. Mauer mentioned, you mentioned, Bill, who would do that testing?
LED, it's a licensed environmental professional.
And we have that in your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know if you recall, but when we did the site walk, Richard, I sunk down to my knee in something, and that's when I started talking to you about boots. And you informed me that our town at one point purchased boots for the Inland Wetland Commission, because I think you might find one of my shoes still out there. So
That's when we had a generous chairman back then.
Hey, John, you got a set of boots.
Yes, I do. And they never fit me right anyways.
And keep going, you're going to get the boot, but that's another story.
May I also suggest, Mr. Chairman, that failure to comply with the testing caveat, as well as the removal of the precast and the boat, would result in a automatic order. We'd start the first step down that path. Whatever you want to call it, a cease and correct, a notice of violation, that they have 30 days, which is a generous amount of time, which we heard from Commissioner Pooley, they can do it in 5 days. So 30 is plenty to get rid of the boat, get rid of the precast concrete, test the soil and get the results to Tatiana. If they fail to do so in 30 days, we would begin the order process.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're going to comply because they're anxious to move on into building finally, so.
I'd like to hope so, but
So,
may I remind the commission that it was approved 6 years ago and it didn't happen. I have no doubt that they're going to do it now, but we also had no doubt 6 years ago it would be done immediately. And
but the important thing is they don't get their permit unless they've complied, so.
Okay, I think
Anyone
I'm
else?
satisfied with
David,
that.
You're good?
Through the chair.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with that.
Go ahead, Carmine.
Through the chair, as far as that easement, regardless of where that scour pit is.
Wait a moment, wrong. That's the other property.
Wait a minute. Wasn't it also mentioned that parcel A has to get an easement from parcel B due to that scour pit?
A over B, yep.
And
Bill,
was that
where are
in
you,
one
Bill?
of your conditions?
Wait a minute, where's Bill? Because he was the one that brought,
That's correct. Carmine's correct.
So parcel A needs an easement from parcel B,
yeah.
regardless of where
Okay,
the
thank you.
scour pit is.
That's right.
Okay,
Added to it was one of my conditions that I deleted it. Let's bring it back.
thank you, Carmine. Okay, anybody else can think of anything we need in this?
Through the chair.
I'd like
Go
a
ahead, Carmine.
clarification on that part. Playing devil's advocate that they get bad test results and decide not to do anything. What is our recourse?
They won't be issued the permit.
So the application is dead?
Am I correct on this, Attorney Cordone, that we would withhold the permit if they don't meet the conditions?
That's my understanding of what you are proposing, Commissioner Deacon's conditions as he stated them. The permit would not be effective or will be void in essence if they do not comply with those timelines. If they otherwise do not, deal with the situation, we still have all of our other remedies, which would be outside of this application process. So we could always send a cease and desist order, et cetera, but we are going to presume that they do what's required and that the testing comes back negative. If not, we would have to they would have to comply with state law to make sure it is remedied.
Okay.
Right, through the chair.
Go ahead, Laura.
The state may mandate how quickly it needs to be removed if they do find contamination.
Well,
At that
again,
point.
while it's being remediated, they would not have the permit until that was done.
I think we should move on.
But if they don't have the permit, are they gonna alert us? I mean, are we gonna be simultaneously notified as they are? Or let's just say God forbid, there's a bad test result, they just disappear. I mean, I would assume that they're gonna tell the town, hey, this is not happening.
The results will go to our engineering department. And at that point, we'll know what's happening, so.
Right.
I think it's important to note for the record that Attorney Russo admitted that it was his client's material that was brought in there, so they can't just skip town and say it wasn't ours.
No, he thinks he didn't, he doesn't really know. That's, that's something that he was there when it was being done, so let's void that out for now. All right, do we need anything else before we bring this to a vote? We're good? Okay, so there's a motion on the floor for approval. Brought by Mr. Deacon. It was seconded by Mark. We'll do a roll call. All in favor? Myself, I say yes. Mark?
Yes.
David?
I'll say no on this one.
All right. John?
Yes.
Tony?
No.
No? And Richard?
Yes.
Okay, it's 5 yay and 2 nay, so it passes.
Do I get the vote?
Oh, I'm sorry, Carmine. I'm looking up there. I'm going back and forth. It was 4 yays, 2 nays, but now we are bringing it down to Mr. DeFeo. The suspense is killing me. Go
On
for it.
parcel A, I vote yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. So is 5 yays, 2 nays. Let us move on to application 21-14. I'm getting too old. This is, I'm way up past my bedtime now, but go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, if I may offer to the commission that we can have a motion to approve this application and incorporate by reference all the conditions mentioned in the prior application. And then if you need to add any additional ones, you can do that.
What you said, I love it. Sounds
Through
good.
the chair.
Okay.
Yeah, did we just jump to 2114?
Or what? I mean, 2107 rather, excuse me.
Yeah, okay, because I'm really confused. Okay.
Join the party, but at any rate, so you have that.
So we're talking about Lot B.
Lot B, yep. Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve for discussion purposes only.
On application 21-07, seconded
Yes.
by
I'll second.
Mark. Okay. Now, we would like to bring into the.
We're going to include by reference the application 21-06 conditions with the following additional conditions that are specific to Lot B. They
Okay.
follows, and I'll let Colleen put the 3 point whatever because I've kind of lost count.
All right.
The line of the limit of disturbance shall be the boundary between lots B and 3. Why couldn't we just do ABC? Why we got to be different like that? Next up is there's an easement for the scour hole in favor of Lot A over Lot B. That should be mentioned as well on Lot B's approval.
Should we be calling this Lot 321? Because is there a Lot B on any of these maps?
Yes. Yeah, it says
Oh,
A and it says
yeah.
parcel A and parcel B is what.
Yeah, okay, I meant the other one, the Lot 3, maybe.
I believe lot 3 is actually lot C.
Yeah, or you can call it the parcel 321.
That's acceptable. The same cleanup requirements as we mentioned, those are all there. And the same limitations for if they fail, they have to do it within 30 days. It's the same exact conditions there as we mentioned before. There was one additional condition that Mr. Russo mentioned that he would be amenable to, but I wasn't sure if it was necessary, and that was the addition of a fence I don't know.
Okay, on that item, I'm going to do a quick straw poll. Do you think we should do a fence between B and C that would sort of create a barrier so that they don't move into C?
What kind of fence?
Myself, I would say yes. Mark?
I had made a note when the Attorney Russo was talking, it'd be perhaps a good place for the boulders to demarc the difference between the two properties.
We don't know if there's boulders there and stuff, but I would say fence right now.
Not those boulders. I'm talking about bringing in some serious boulders to demarc that wetland area.
The problem is you only got 12 and a half feet.
What
we
type
can-
of fence were you talking about?
Well, we can, for the type of fence, condition 2.11 allows permanent demarcation of property line and/or wetland limits shall be marked with IWWC placards and/or other monuments at intervals of X yards apart or at the following locations or as directed by the agent. So it's up to us to determine where these placards, if any, are placed and what monuments, if any, if we're using split rail fence, boulders, or as it says in the condition, other monuments, whatever
Why
they
don't-
may be.
Why don't we just do a split rail fence? It'd be easy and we can put our markers on it.
With the placards.
And we're talking on the border between B and C, not on the wetland.
Correct. So the border between B and C, I would ask whether or not it's appropriate to put wetlands placards where it's just a property border.
I don't think so, personally. I think the wetlands are too far away.
Okay, so this would just be a split rail fence?
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, Richard?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's just too far.
Okay.
And
so
why are boulders not an alternative?
In my opinion,
It's going to leak into 3.
I know, but you got 12 and a half feet between the edge of the house and the lot line. So how big a boulder, if you put a 3 and you move it out another foot, you're down to like an 8 foot between the house and the boulders you have to stack there.
Let's do the split rail fence.
Yeah, I think it's a hard.
Right, the homeowner, the developer does own lot C, so it's.
Yeah, I understand.
If they went into his property, it's not that much of a
If he
hardship.
wants to put them on his side of the line, that would be okay, but then who's can say they
Well,
can't take them away later?
I know that we can't demand that because it's not part of the application,
I
but
understand.
that project has creep built into it.
Technically,
Oh,
technically, I don't think the owner of parcel B owns parcel C. The attorney said A and C was owned by the same person.
Same entity.
No,
Right, these are LLCs. And they may have the common owner and they may have applied commonly, but
All right.
technically, we don't know who in the future will own that property. We can't guarantee that they're going to maintain it the same way we instruct them to do so now, unless there's something physical there.
Minimum, I think it should be a split rail fence along the property line, or maybe something more significant.
Sounds good. All right.
I agree.
Is there anything else you have to add, Richard?
Wetlands, we never discussed the wetlands bond. Am I assuming we don't need a wetlands bond?
No, I don't believe so. Right, Bill and Tatiana, we're good? No, I'm getting the head shake from Bill. I don't think so.
I have one other comment.
Go ahead, Carmine.
It was brought up about the location of that scour pit. And again, the attorney said he was open to having it moved from C onto B. We have not made that notice.
So that would be part of B then.
Let
That
the
the
record show me,
scour pit be brought over to property B.
All right, let the record show my motion includes Commissioner DeFeo's comment.
You're cooking tonight, Mr. DeFeo. You're good.
You want us to go over it?
Yes, absolutely. Please,
Okay.
if you can go through all your special conditions one at a time, that would be great.
Okay, they're as follows. An easement for the scour hole in favor of Lot A over Lot B.
Now you're
Next.
2107, right?
That's
Yes.
right.
Okay.
Next up is the limit of disturbance. Will be the line between lots B and 3. And that line shall be monumented with a split rail fence that shall be maintained in perpetuity.
Okay. Okay,
Well, the rest of the conditions are carried over from the prior application.
Do we need to add that there shall be no encroachment from B to C?
I'm sorry?
Do we need to add something that there shall be no site development activities encroaching from lot B to lot C?
So moved. So there shall be no site development activities encroaching from site B, lot B to lot 3. That's what it's called. You want to call it 321?
And Richard, I didn't hear you mention again about the moving of the scour pit.
Yeah, we did. It's been moved to B, and there's an easement for it.
When I commended you. And
I know, but
cooking.
I thought you just repeated the part about that there should be an easement, not the fact that the scour pit's being moved.
All right, I think you
Yeah,
dozed off.
remember I said everything Mr. DeFeo said is included in the motion?
Yes.
Right, but when you were just talking to Colleen, I didn't hear you mention about the moving of the scour pit.
All things in their time, sir. That's my way of saying you got me.
Okay.
Okay.
Were there any others that you needed me to go over, Colleen?
Are you good, Colleen?
I'll listen to the recording tomorrow.
All right. Anything else that we can think of? I believe we're good, right? Okay, so we'll do this by approval. I'm a yes. Mark?
I still really believe those boulders should be
Mark,
there.
we're doing the fence. Thank you. Yes
That-
or no?
No,
David?
No.
Let's see, where are we at here? Carmine?
No,
No, we're doing the same thing for A and B here. It's going to be foolish not to do it, but okay. So at any rate, Richard?
Mr. Chairman, can you start the vote again, please, on this application?
Okay, myself, I'm a yes. Carmine?
I'll still say no.
Mark?
I state no.
David?
I still stay with my no.
Richard?
Yes.
Tony?
No.
John?
I voted yes for it 6 years ago, and I think I would vote again for it. And I think if we don't approve it tonight, it's going to be a taking, or we're going to be back hearing this again. So I vote yes to approve it
So
with the
looking at-
stipulations that we've agreed to.
Motion fails.
No, wait a moment. There's,
Me, you, and John are the only ones for it.
nope, we also, who else?
Yes.
No, Tony went yes.
3 yes, 4 no's.
Right?
Tony said no.
So how many no's?
There's 4 no's, 3 yes.
This makes no sense. This is going to end up in court and they're going to be entitled. I mean, come on. Why would you want to vote no on this when it's comparable to A?
There's no winning in court. It's
Mr.
already been
Chairman, may I-
approved once.
Mr. Chairman, may I address the commission?
No, before that, Mr. Cordone, I think we're opening up a can of worms here. Would you please address the commission?
Mr. Chairman, notably, a tie vote on an application that is a motion that is rejected. The commission should pursue definitive action to avoid an inferred approval by operation of law. The board may hold a second vote If additional board members choose to participate, the results of the second vote will be considered valid. That is a court case. I'm citing to you.
Counselor, it's not a tie vote.
I'm not sure what the vote was.
It's 3-4.
No, it was
It was
3
not a
yeas
tie.
and 4 nays. And what I'm saying is this will end up in court because it was already approved before. How can we justify not approving this? Am I wrong?
You have two identical applications really before you. That the conversation for this commission considered both applications simultaneously. So you can choose to vote one against the other, but you'd have to state a very strong reason for that. So I do think the commission can have a motion to reconsider, and you can vote again on this matter tonight. I think the chair is raising valid concerns.
We will have to justify why we refused to approve this, and I do not see a reason for it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may say,
If you want your boulders to do a yes, I'll give you boulders. If that makes your,
well, don't do it to appease me. Do it because it's the right thing. We need to
right thing
demark
is to
that
approve
wetlands from creeping into lot 3. And we stood there, as Commissioner Laurie said, it's what, 8 feet, 12 feet? Literally, it's going into the wetlands, not just the upland review area, the wetlands. That's my reason for voting no. How you're going to give me boulders? If yes, I will go for a yes if I have boulders on lot 3 protecting that area. It really is that simple, I guess.
Okay, Deacon, do me
I
a
will change my vote. If you'll vote yes, I'll go for boulders. Okay, Mark? I don't want to go to court on this.
Neither do I, and I don't appreciate the I guess I'll call it intimidation. I'm telling you what I believe is right. I believe I'm going to finish, Richard. I'm going to finish. I believe those boulders are important to demark those properties. I understand the situation where the homeowner or the property owner is that same person. I understand they're different entities, but I don't think that that's a big ask to get an approval. I think that that's an important point, and that's my reason for the no. Now, if we put it in there as an amendment, then I'll go yes.
I disagree with that, but I would appease you.
And you have every right to disagree with that.
But I am not lambasting you or anything like that. I disagree with you,
Well,
Mark.
I must tell you, I do feel it. I do feel it.
Okay, you feel
and
passionate
you do
about it. I
have
would
every
change
right to your opinion too.
Yeah, of course. But and keep in mind, it may not be the builder who's going to be moving into this house. You hear one story, but maybe someone completely different. So
exactly right, John. Exactly.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned about not having sufficient space, but we can talk about that smart. I'm open on the boulders if okay.
Through the
Okay,
chair.
let me clarify something. Mark, I have utmost respect for you. You know that.
I do.
But the issue is this. We would have no basis or ground to stand on. We would lose so quickly in court. Plus, they probably could even go for damages. I'm not an attorney. I did stay at a Holiday Inn one night. But really, let's do what's correct. So let's go with a reconsideration. We will do a revote on this. We will change it to boulders.
Through the
You've got
chair.
that in there. You understand that, right, Colleen? Along the border. Good. Now we will take a vote again.
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I just wanted to make a statement that when the motion, when I made proposed the conditions, I did not realize the importance to certain commissioners of the boulders. Had I realized that importance, I certainly would have included them. It's rather strange for me as a known obstructionist to suddenly be on the side of approval of a denied application. It's never happened before. So it's very strange for me to be looking to you and saying, please approve something. I always raise questions, sometimes to the chagrin of the engineering staff and the chairman. That's why I'm here, to bring up important points. With this one, if there's anything else before we move to a vote, other than the boulders, and I'd like to clarify what exactly the boulders are, because if they're being placed on lot 3,
they're not on lot 3.
Not on lot 3.
Lot 2. Okay, just making sure they're on, lot B.
Yes.
And we should also add a caveat that the boulders, just as the fence was supposed to be maintained in perpetuity, that the boulders remain in perpetuity. And for them to be moved, of course, would be a violation. So those boulders will stay. And we need
can I
to
make a
explain what
suggestion
boulders
here?
they are.
What, Bill?
Go ahead, Bill.
Can we do it, instead of boulders, can we do a stone wall?
I would go with a
I would-
permanent.
A permanent stone wall, so you don't have the mass of the boulders, and it's not gonna be moving.
I like it. I just. didn't know
Okay.
about the
Great
expense, but-
suggestion.
Okay.
Everyone's
straw
happy.
poll. Wait a minute, let's do this democratically. Straw poll. Would you go for it, Mark?
Yes, I would.
David?
Yes, I'll go for that.
Richard?
I already voted yes.
Tony, for stone wall?
I
Tony?
would, but then now I have a problem with I voted no on the first one too, so I can't vote no on one and yes on the other.
No.
Yes, you can.
We're doing a revote, so you'd go yes on the stone wall, yes or no? Okay, John?
Yes.
Okay, Carmine?
Yes.
Okay, so we will do a stone wall there, height and construction will be overseen and determined by engineering. So we
Do
don't
we have
get
some
into.
dimensions on that stone
Can
wall?
we put a minimum of 3 feet in height?
Sounds good.
That's a little high. 30 inches would be good, but I'm good with that.
Okay, so
3
let's
feet.
go.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna have to just ask that we kind of have a couple of procedural moments here, all right? We should probably have a formal, first of all, motion to reconsider the prior motion. And I would ask everyone to vote for that. And then I want an amendment to the motion with someone states the amendment clearly as to the wall, the size of the wall, and then we have a vote on the amendment and the motion as a whole, if we could, please.
Okay, so. the
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the prior application.
Or the vote on the reconsideration of the vote, right?
And then I'd like an amendment to the prior motion with the stone wall, please.
Okay.
Vote
so
on the
there's
wall.
Rich. Amend it, Rich.
Okay, motion.
We have to vote to reconsider first, John.
Okay.
I will,
For the vote
I'll
reconsider,
second that.
seconded by David. Now we'll take the roll. Richard Gerard, I'm a yes. Carmine?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Okay, on the amendment, Richard.
Let us amend the application, the motion to approve application 2107. We'll use all the past conditions we already had, except we will replace the fence with a 3-foot stone wall. Materials to be approved by the town engineer.
Running the property line of between lots.
Correct. A 3-foot
21
stone
and-
wall going between property lines B and 3 on the line. And that is to be made of materials to the engine, stone materials at the approval of the town engineer.
Mark, I think you were concerned about the creep into the wetlands, not just between lots B and C, but
I agree with that.
from B into the wetlands.
Yeah, but the
But
wetlands
the
aren't
actual
on the-
wetlands are in lot C.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'm happy with the stone wall demarcation between B and 3.
Okay.
Guys? with
Doesn't the
30
wetlands cut across the corner of lot B? I think it
No.
does.
No, just the upland area.
All right.
Is 3 feet a little high with 30 inches? I heard someone mention it before. Be okay.
30 inches is more typical of what you would find in this area.
Yeah, I think that'll work because, you know,
30
we're just
inches.
trying to, you're not gonna cross it 30 inches high or 3 feet high. It's,
Make it
I
so.
won't argue over 6 inches.
yeah, no, I just think, yeah, you might get a better wall out of it.
Why don't we give them a range approximately 30 to 36 inches?
Nope.
Okay, Richard, amend it to 30 inches high.
So
Minimum
moved.
30-inch high.
Right.
So moved.
So there's a motion on an amendment made by Richard, seconded by
I'll second it.
Mark, thank you. Take the vote. Richard, Gerard, I'm a yes. Mark,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Carmine,
Yes.
Richard, Deacon,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
and John Loria.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's do we've got the reconsideration to retake the vote, right, Counselor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the vote on the application as amended with all its conditions. And
Application.
commissioners should vote as they feel they should vote. I'm not telling
Okay.
anyone you need to vote as you feel you need to vote.
Okay. We're going to go with the vote. Richard Gerard, I'm a yes. Mark,
I'm a yes.
David,
I'll go yes.
Richard,
Aye.
Tony,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Okay, 7 yeas, I believe, so
You
we
didn't
passed
call
that.
my name again, but I'll say
Yes,
yes.
I did. I went to Carmine.
Poor
I went
Carmine, you're out of
across,
the picture,
didn't I?
Carmine.
Come on, we're gonna get your
Come on.
hearing aid.
You're sure I didn't go from you over? Okay, so at any rate, we've got 7 yays on that one. Now, reason I'm a little testy, we still got to go to North Street. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I could just, before we begin, I'm going to ask the commission to help me and help Colleen. We've sort of had a freewheeling conversation. And on this application, we need to be systematic. We need to speak one at a time if we can, after acknowledged by the chair. We need to have proper motions for each item. If you don't mind, I'm just trying to help us navigate forward. Thank you, sir.
thank you, and thank you. Okay, we are now moving to application 21-01.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Richard.
Motion to approve for discussion purposes only.
Can I get a second? Mark seconds it. Okay. Oh, wait a moment. I'm taking away because I just saw Carmine in the corner. So Carmine had seconded it. So go ahead, Richard.
My motion is for unconditional approval. Let someone, I'll rest on this one.
Any discussion, any thoughts?
All right, I'll go then.
All right.
I tried to be nice, but okay. 2.1 erosion controls. 2.2 erosion controls monitor. 2.4 LOD. 2.5 LOD. 2.6 tree protection measures. 2.7 invasives. 2.8 tree stumps. 2.9 new plantings, make sure it says engineer, not tree warden. 2.10 phasing and staging. Again, bring up 2.11 monuments and 2.12 the wetlands bond. And 3.1 engineering comments must be adhered to prior to building sign off. And 3.2 third-party testing, that's up for debate.
Okay, on the wetlands have been marked with boulders. Should we put a couple of posts in there, Tatiana, so we can put our markers?
Sure, if the commission would like a wetland placard, so they can install it on posts right next to boulders.
Because otherwise, what are the boulders there for? And
Why
then
can't-
after they just remove them and then,
Through the chair, why
Go ahead.
why can't the placards be installed on the boulders?
they're not really designed for that.
We should
We'd
put
have
them on
to go out,
posts.
they'd have to drill it and I don't know, have you seen the placard? It's not that big. And it's very lightweight aluminum. So,
Put them on posts, put them out there.
you know.
Now,
So
the
I would
new,
ask, Tatiana will determine how many posts go in between and, you know, the amount of placards.
This is a placard.
Town engineer. Yep. So. All right, anything
Through
else?
through the chair?
Go ahead.
All right, now that we got the conditions out of the way. First of all, there was a mention of third-party testing. Or I'd like to know if the commission is satisfied with the testing that we received.
It doesn't warrant a third party. We've determined that from engineering, right, Tatiana?
Okay.
My only this is Commissioner Varespi. My only comment on any sort of third-party testing would be revisiting the vernal pool findings. I think one site visit is insufficient to make a determination of the presence of some of these species, whether they're there or not. We've had some cold nights lately. I'm just not convinced, but that's.
But David, they're inside against the border of the neighbors, and I feel they're well protected. So it's, they're within the, inside the wetland. So I really feel that's not going to be an issue for us.
Furthermore, the Southwest District issued that extensive report. We, of course, like seems to happen many times, we received the report the day of the hearing. And as a result, I would venture to guess that neither the staff nor the commissioners have had ample time to consult that report. Is there anything in that report from what we've read that we should consider now as relevant to influence our vote?
So again, the report was recommendations if the site had indeed a vernal pool, what the proper conditions should be. Okay, because they didn't find a vernal pool, those conditions don't apply.
And they did not come out.
Wasn't found. That entire report is irrelevant.
Correct. It's really specifically for vernal pool protections, I guess, what recommendations and appropriate measures should be.
Through the chair, quick question, Richard.
Go ahead, Tony.
Tatiana, are you talking about the Southwest Conservation District?
Correct. Yes.
There's a whole page on that in that letter that refers to protection of upland area. And it says guidelines stated for vernal pool protection are taking into consideration to protect the ecology within the wetland area. So it's not
correct
solely about vernal pools.
Well, it pertains to sites that have vernal pools. That was my point.
Yeah. So it would be a good time almost to bring this up. There's a big Supreme Court ruling on based on the Wilton Wetland Commission, who said they had spotted salamanders and they did a quarter-mile away from some place that they were going to build. They denied it, and then the U.S. Supreme Court overturned that ruling and said wetland laws only apply to the wetlands and the things that live in the wetlands. Once they come out of the wetlands, we have no jurisdiction. I never agreed with that, but that's the law now, I believe. And maybe our attorney has something to say about that.
Commissioner Lauria, that is my understanding of that. I think it might be a Connecticut Supreme Court case, but that is my understanding of the law, is that you're not here to protect habitats outside of the wetlands. Correct.
I thought it was U.S. Supreme Court, but maybe I'm wrong.
You may be correct, sir. You may be correct.
It has been stated in other court cases that wetlands commissions are not mini EPAs. They are strictly for the wetlands. And again, as much as we probably disagree with those rulings.
Okay, so are we ready to take a vote?
Well, through the chair, it's Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
So reading through that report, I thought it was a pretty great report. And even though this has been determined to not be a vernal pool by a licensed, help me with that, Tatiana, licensed
Wetland soil scientist.
wetland soil scientist, some of the suggestions to protect that area were things that we've already have in this application, such as popular topic tonight, boulders, putting the boulders to protect that area. So although it's not a vernal pool, we are taking some of the precautions to protect the area. So I mean, that was one of my big concerns, the whole vernal pool. But when Bill Kenny is on record stating it's not a vernal pool, I think it's swaying my decision.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Richard.
In accordance with section 10 of the regulations, have we deemed it appropriate to see reasonable, feasible, and prudent alternative construction plans?
I'm sorry, what was your point on that? I didn't hear you.
Has the commission deemed it necessary to?
No, they came in with a different plan. So.
Yeah. Are we satisfied that this plan
Yep.
is truly a reasonable, feasible, and prudent plan and not simply a detuned plan deliberately created to fail?
Well, I went through this with Tatiana and she seems to be fine with it. I was fine with it. I thought it was an improvement. It is what it is, so.
I have two comments.
Go ahead, Carmine.
One's a question. Am I correct in understanding with the definition of vernal pool that it requires that 750 feet radius of forest to be considered a vernal pool?
That's what's been stated today, and I guess wetlands, it's not a precise science. It's the report provided to the commission has a little bit different definition. The staff was told that the species that live in vernal pools, they can adapt to developed areas. So to really determine whether it's a vernal pool or not, one would have to look for the species like eggs, frogs. And
My understanding of the vernal pool is the vernal pool can exist for it to be a viable community to sustain. It generally needs that 750 feet for it to thrive, but it can still exist in less than that.
Okay.
Because
it will always be vernal
by certain geological landform and water hydrological features.
I agree, David. It's always going to be vernal, but it may be barren.
Yeah.
All right, well, right now it seems to be a moot point because the expert, Mr. Kenny, doesn't determine to be as such, so can we take a vote?
I have one other.
Go ahead, Carmine.
I think it was a condition. I believe they also said that they will locate that well and properly, I don't know if you call it dispose of it, but they were going to address it. And then, did we put that into one of the conditions, Richard?
Good, Mr. Deacon, put that in as a condition that they will fill or cap or do whatever is necessary to make.
Decommission.
Yeah, they said they would it's Mark McKeel, they said they would decommission or remediate it. Yes, that's.
Let it be added that the applicant shall decommission or remediate the well and render it safe.
All right. So we are now good.
Can I just make a quick observation? So as I read through the regulations to section 10.2, I mean, the section A, which says you got to consider the environmental impact of proposed regulated activity on wetlands and watercourses, including the effects of the capacity to support fish and wildlife, to prevent flooding. That's clearly an issue here. You can, and so section B is the applicant's purpose of feasible alternative, which they did do. Section 3 talks about the relationship between the long and short-term impacts of the proposed activity on the wetlands and watercourses and the maintenance and enhancement of it. And you can go on. Section D, applicable. In my interpretation, you folks know more than me, but it seems like there's like 3 or 4 criteria here that are not being met. There's clearly going to be degradation there. I mean, I walked that site and it's a big bowl, like one of the neighbors said, it's a bowl. And so this is where the water collects, and you can do any number of contortions, but you're still going to affect the wetland there, probably permanently. Not to mention the wildlife that are not aquatic wildlife, but still have a right to exist. So I'm struggling with what is our goal to get this done, or is it to protect this peripheral impact on the watercourses, which is undeniable. Anyway, that's my say.
All right. Okay, we're going to go to a vote. I am a yes. Carmine,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
David,
I am a reluctant yes on this one.
Yes.
Richard.
No.
Okay, one no. John,
Sorry. Yes.
Tony.
No.
It passes with 5 yeas and 2 nays. All right, so we're good on that. And
Sidewalks.
is there anything else? Otherwise. All right, so I need a motion to close old business.
So moved.
Seconded by Mark. Okay, I'm going to do a hand. All in favor? Okay, all the commissioners voted yes. Very quickly, any correspondence that we need to address? Colleen?
No.
All right, nothing else that has to rightfully come before the commission?
So, Mr. Chairman, Mark McKeel, if I could ask 2 quick questions?
Sure.
In the online inland wetlands regulations, it states the last update was amended February 2nd, 2010. We amended this 2 years ago.
Okay, Attorney Cordone can address that. It didn't go ahead.
Mark, we were on the verge of doing it and COVID-19 happened. So we had 2 subcommittee meetings. The subcommittee reported to the commission. I gave a summary of everything. Everyone seemed to be okay with it. And then we were going to start the process, and then land use stopped in Trumbull for 60 days as it did everywhere else. So we could pick up that, and probably should pick up that baton again and finalize the update to our regulations. So thank you for asking that question.
Thank you for clarifying that. And so then I have 3 questions. The vernal pool report that we received from the SWC stated that perhaps in our own Trumbull inland wetland regulations, we should create our own town vernal pool criteria. And since we're not quite amended yet, maybe it's something, I don't know what the commission's thought is on that, but the likelihood that we'll come across this again very soon is probably pretty high, being with the amount of development and space left in Trumbull.
Do we have a vernal pool in town that we can even identify right now? Is there one that says, oh yeah, we have a vernal pool here and we have one there? I know of none that have been classified as vernal.
So far, I don't remember any, John, since I've been on with you.
I'm sure we've been filling them in for years, but I haven't seen anything.
Commissioner. Exactly what I'm thinking. John, I can just think of so many places that fit the definition in town, but we've probably never classified them, most of them on state and town property.
Yeah, or it's something like we just saw here, where you say it looks like a vernal pool, and then a wildlife specialists come in and said, yeah, we did salamander egg testing and stuff. It's not, there's nothing there to support it, and it moves on.
Yeah, it's something for us to consider. I think that we should.
I think it should absolutely be included in the regulations.
All right, I will do this for you. During the time before our next meeting, I'll do the research again, like I did on the initial changes. I'll check with the various towns to see what they have. And then I think it was David that was on with me, and I think John, if I remember, that was our subcommittee. And I'll, connect with them, and then we'll do a report the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, just so you know, in the report that was sent to us by the SWC, if I said that incorrectly, I'm sorry.
Southwestern Regional.
They did include many towns and their specific regulations in that letter that was sent out today. So that may be a good starting point too. Last question, and then I promise Carmine he can go watch the Yankees if they're still on. I don't know.
It's over.
Is there any update on Long Hill Market when they're going to be getting when they plan on opening?
Tony, have you heard anything about Long Hill Market?
I have not, no. No, I have no idea.
What I'll do for you is I'll give Rena a call in the morning, and then I'll put it out to the commissioners.
Okay, as you know, my concern is that for them to get their CO, we need that
Believe
rain
me,
garden.
it's going to be handled.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will, because I'll be standing there blocking the trucks.
Yeah, and
Blocking
I'll be
Dunkin'
there, and
Donuts.
I'll be revving the gas.
I'll block Dunkin' Donuts drive-through.
All right,
Through
go
the
ahead,
chair.
Richard.
Just my usual check. Does the commission have any pending and relevant cease to correct orders or any other orders that have been issued that we're looking at? I know there were some that came up last month, and in fact, it may as well just be an agenda item because they are out there, and I'd like to request a a quick report of any big ones, anything relevant that's going on.
No, the only thing I can think of right now is Old Dyke, which is being handled by Attorney Cordone and their attorney, and they are moving to fix the violations. As we said, they're no longer going to do any tree cuttings. So that's been, that's in the process of being taken care of, right, Attorney Cordone?
Yes, just to be clear to the commission, a notice of violation was sent out and also a citation was sent out. So we are diligently proceeding with that. We anticipate that they will file an application
Okay.
to be remedied.
Thank you. So it's good to hear about the privately owned applications. Are there any public, is the town approaching us for anything, any type of maintenance in any town-owned properties, any parks?
Nope, nothing at this time.
Okay.
There was a question about land behind Gates of Heaven Cemetery and their
That's,
stockpile.
I can interrupt you there. That's being worked on, and I know that Bill and Tatiana have requested information on that, but it hasn't been brought to Wetlands yet, but probably the next meeting we'll have something on it, right, Bill or Tatiana? I'm getting a head shake here from Bill, so.
Richard's worried about that one. He's worried the Pope's going to come down on him. It's getting a little hot in the collar.
That's it. That's it. Very quickly, Tony, anything that you have to report? I think we're pretty good, right?
No, no, nothing. We're
All
good.
right. All right. Again, I thank you all. And if there be no objection, I move to adjourn. I thank you all. And I am sorry if I got testy at all tonight, but I was trying to move things along because Colleen goes on vacation tomorrow. And she had her bags packed, and I think the car is running as we speak.
I think she's
Take
gone.
care.
She's on
There you
mute.
go.
There's no picture there.
Hey, I wasn't lying, believe me.
Yeah, everything's on tape.
Yeah.
She's gone.
I
She's gone.
have a nice vacation, Colleen.
She said
She's
she's gonna
halfway
listen to
to
the recording
Florida.
tomorrow, didn't she?
No, she's off to Florida, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank everybody.